Okay. They're coming. And then I'll put them up on the screen when they do. Let's see here. Actually, hey,
What's up, Drazi?
how's it going?
Good, man. Can you hear me?
I can. Give me 1 second. I want to put you on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, oh, I see. I'm on the wrong scene. There we are. Beautiful. And make me a little bit bigger. Perfect. All right. Your setup's fucking cool.
Thanks, man.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Uh, I'm not at my home, currently traveling Southeast Asia.
Oh,
So yeah, I started my first setup basically not being home and yeah, try to make it as nice as possible.
uh, well, for it being on the go and everything, I think your camera looks really good too. God damn.
Man, I'm just using my iPhone actually. I don't even have a real camera. I just connected my iPhone. And actually, it's working pretty well. If you have a decent computer, it's okay. On my one laptop, it was working really bad, but on this one, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I guess like this is definitely your interview and all that. I'm just super curious because I see in the background. Where are you at right now? You said you're traveling.
I'm current. I'm right now in Vietnam.
Vietnam. Okay. If I didn't ask, I would have been
Yeah,
super distracted wondering because I can see it in the background.
yeah, yeah, man. Let's go. I
Sure
have so
thing.
many questions.
All right. I'm
Um,
excited to answer them.
Let me just check if everything's working on my stream, but I think so. Sounds like it's working. Yeah, man. Like the reason why am I interviewing you? I've known your name for like maybe 4 to 5 years, probably. I'm not sure if it's that long, but probably that long. Like I've heard your name like back in the days, like 3, 4 years ago. I was still consuming a lot of Twitch politics.
Hmm.
I remember I was at that time I was traveling as well. I was in Colombia at that time, and I was watching Vosh because I was interested in some topic. I don't know what it was. From that, I got over to Destiny, and yeah, from that on for like 1 or 2 years, I was consuming Twitch politics, and I feel like your name was I remember after like last year or 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago, I
Yeah.
heard your name in Mr. Girl's orbit. I felt like I had already heard your name before. So am I correct that you were in Destiny's like sphere at
I
that
was
time?
I was in his server. I used to just like I used to debate around in his server a bit, and there was another server called the Intellectualist. I like to debate people, but I didn't like.
Hmm.
I got sort of pushed away from Destinies a bit because people in there were kind of obnoxious. Sometimes they
Hmm.
just like if you're sitting in like a debate room by yourself, waiting for somebody to pop in, they'd be like aggressive and just like not really, but for lack of a better word, like sort of like bully you out. They'd just be like really aggressive and annoying. So like I just like leave. If I tried to go in another VC, they'd follow me and do the same shit. I'm like, all right, I don't really like being a Destiny server too much.
Hmm. What do you think? Like, do you think it's because the age was pretty low, or
I don't know. I think I
it's like
didn't
I
put that
remember
much
when I
thought into
was.
it. I just wanted to like dip. I was like, ah.
Yeah, yeah, I see, I see. Yeah, so I thought to myself, man, I want to enter this sphere in some way, and I feel like even if we wouldn't stream right now, I would have tried to hit you up and ask you like for some advice and for some knowledge about the whole sphere and the culture. And why not just do it on stream and make it like my first real stream? So yeah, here we are.
Based. Hell yeah, man.
Uh,
I'm good luck, I guess. I was the first person ever stream with Smeth when he wasn't just on, like on Mr. Girl Hotline, and he's doing pretty good. So maybe
so
maybe
you're
maybe
you're
you'll get some
bringing
good
good
luck
luck.
too. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Uh, yeah, I actually the first thing I really want to talk about with you is being an orbiter, because it's actually something I don't want to be, but uh, I don't know if you have the choice. Like, I don't know if it's a choice. So yeah, what would you say? What is an orbiter to you?
So I'd say an orbiter is somebody who depends on a larger streamer for their content. And so I feel like it's kind of a title that gets like thrust upon you. Like I mean you could set out with the goal to become an orbiter. And then I guess you just would be as well. But if you don't want to be an orbiter, then I would say that you would just have to make like organic content. Like you could make content about another like about another streamer or something like that. But if you suck on it too long, you're probably going to get associated with them pretty strongly. So I think it's going to be a lot about people's perceptions. If like when people hear Mr. Girl, or if people see like take the Mr. Girl has on Twitter a lot, instead of messaging him, they'll message me, because like I'm the more
Mm-hmm.
accessible person to interact with that
Mm-hmm.
thing that he did. It's a lot easier to reach out to me and talk to me about it than it is to reach out and talk to Mr. Girl. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so like the big JC, I just talked to him the other day. He saw something in Mr. Girls and he said immediately I thought of you. And I just wanted to I wanted to ask you about this. Oh no, actually it was Leader. Leader seen something from Mr. Girl and he like got a hold of me right away. So I think that's probably like a pretty good example of like what it functionally is to be an orbiter. I never really
Mm-hmm.
cared. I really like talking about Mr. Girl shit, so like I'm always
Mm-hmm.
happy for that. But if you don't want to, then
Yeah,
just if you just doing your own thing, you shouldn't get pegged as one.
yeah, yeah. What do you think is in it for? Because I think to some extent it's something that is being done by like this activity of being an orbiter is being done by both parties, by both the streamer and the orbiter. So I mean the orbiter is also a streamer, but I'll just call it for simplicity's sake. I will just say streamer and orbiter. Um, what's in it? I mean for the orbiter, I guess you get way more attention, both in views and in also like the way you described it like a few minutes ago. Um, but what's in it for the streamer? I feel like it's yeah, I don't really see what's in it for the streamer.
It depends on the streamer, right? So for Destiny, which is probably the best example of a streamer with orbiters, he has people that will provide him with content. Destiny can just sit there and play a game and just sort of talk or like watch videos, and then eventually, because he has so many orbiters, somebody's going to pop by and want to talk, and therefore he has done absolutely no work, and yet content has been brought to him. This is
Mm-hmm.
invaluable to somebody like Destiny who streams as often as he
Mm-hmm.
does. Um, he just it's like no effort, like content just makes itself at that point. He has like an orbiter machine. Now for somebody like Mr. Girl, who that's not the type of relationship he has with his orbiters, I think the benefit for somebody like him is um did you see when he was fighting with Destiny about the subreddit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the points that he made was that I'm a controversial person who says, or I make content and I say controversial things. So what I need in order to grow is I need smart people engaging with people about what I say, saying like, well, he didn't actually mean this is what he actually was talking about, and having these kinds of conversations. So I think that myself in particular, um, uh, like before Smith or anybody was associated with him, really, I was the one going to larger creators and arguing on Mr. Girl's behalf. Like, no, you're just fucking wrong. Like, you're saying all this shit about him, but like, that's not even what's being said here, or like you're misrepresenting, or like when I talk to people about the doll review, people had a very one-sided view of that, and I think that I was probably like the only person really arguing with anybody about this like super negative perspective that was broadly being held about the doll review.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
I
you
would like to
like,
think that I brought some clarity to a pretty complicated video.
mm-hmm. So you're also involved. I saw that with Destiny also, like Orbiters being involved in like a PR war, basically, like fighting the PR war with the
Sh-
streamer
sure,
in case
yeah.
of controversy and shitstorms.
Yeah, I think when it's Destiny, this takes on a bit more of a like the white blood cell analogy. Like if somebody goes after
Mm-hmm.
Destiny or something really bad's happening, you have kind of like the white blood cell thing. People are like, "Oh, here's the problem. We're just going to attack it." Whereas
Mm-hmm.
in the case of like Mr. Girl, I think that like myself and Smith, we're probably just going to talk to people about it. We don't feel like we have to attack anybody. But we do, we're gonna be personally frustrated that like a thing that we thought a lot about and care about is being misunderstood. Like if there's a video or something and we really liked it, we're gonna argue our stance on it. So I think there's varying degrees of which like the PR can be helped by orbiters, but like it's there's definitely like if you're an orbiter of a larger streamer, that's kind of like your time to shine, right?
Yeah, yeah. You use the time where you can show your loyalty and also show that you have understood the character of the person. I feel like that would be more valuable to someone like Mr. Girl, I guess.
Yeah, well, and I think that showing your loyalty is probably a lot more valuable if you're an orbiter of Destiny. Like
Yeah,
if,
yeah.
because like I think that what's valued in these like Mr. Girl and Destiny is just sort of like it's sort of like a dichotomy of what's valued, right? I think that the things that Mr. Girl might appreciate that the Smith and I do would be really different. I don't think he cares so much about the loyalty aspect, but he cares about the kind of engagement that we're helping giving his points. I think he just cares more about his message being understood. And if we can help with that, then that's probably going to be something that's silently appreciated. But for Destiny, I think he really values people sort of jumping in front of the bullets for him. If you do that, I think that
Hmm.
you're going to be seen as more valuable.
Do you think the way Destiny sees it is like the general way it is, or is he more particular?
It's
Like
kind
not
of
in a
tough.
maybe he's more, but I'm asking, is he like a different category of streamer, or is it just a little bit more with him? Or would you say it's like something that is like generally that's how it is in the streamer sphere?
It's kind of hard to say because you have take like the next step up from Destiny would be like Hassan, and Hassan doesn't
Mm-hmm.
interact with his orbiters at all. They just sort
Mm-hmm.
of they're sort of it's just sort of like a mutually beneficial relationship that's like exclusive from each other, whereas
Mm-hmm.
Destiny has a very like mutually oops sorry interactive relationship with his orbiters. Like they're getting something like it's like they're it is kind of like a employer employee relationship in that like I said, they bring content to him, so like they bring him the pie and in exchange they get a little slice of that pie, and then
Mm-hmm.
Destiny gets to eat everything that they don't have. Whereas if you're somebody like Hassan, Hassan just sort of providing all the ingredients, and anybody who wants to be a Hassan orbiter can sort of make their own pie. That's going to be a lot smaller than the one that Hassan's made. They watch how he makes it. They make their own little pie, and they get to have that all to themselves. And it really doesn't affect what he has going on. Um,
So
I
he's basically the least bossy. Like he's not a boss at all, actually, then, right? Somehow, because he has no.
he does nothing to help them, but if he wanted to, he could seriously hurt them. I think as well. Because if you're a
But
fan
I
of his
guess he.
orbiters, you're probably a bigger fan of Hassan. So if Hassan were
Hmm.
to say like, "Hey, fuck this guy," then I think it's probably over for them.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but
Why?
I don't know if that would work with Mr. Girl and Mir Smith. I think if Mr. Girl said something negative about Mir Smith, it wouldn't impact us in that sort of way. It would hurt our feelings.
What? Why? I I agree that the relationship can be like boss and employee. But I don't get why. I mean, if I want to have a boss, I can just go get a job, right? Like, why
So
would
what's
you?
easier? Is it easier to start your own company or is it easier to find an employer?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, it's easier to get to find an employer, but if I wanted to have the easy route, I would never like go for this.
Yeah.
Like some niche, like what we do is pretty niche. I mean, it's not something that
Yes.
is like, it's not very promising in any way. So if I wanted like something safe or something, yeah, I wouldn't do this. So I'm wondering how, like when I look, especially when I look at like Destiny's orbiters, I'm like, wow, like you escaped
Mhm.
escaped the normal regular job and you traded it for a pseudo free job, but it's actually you just traded it for another job. Like, what?
A much weirder job.
Yeah, and you have all the risk, like, and all the insecurities of the streamer sphere, but the way you're working is just like a 9 to 5, and like just the fact that when they that they have to stop streaming when the main streamer, when the big guy is on, like they have to stop streaming because they basically have no viewers at that time, is like it would hurt my ego, like, and isn't like your ego also part of why you do this, like when you're really honest.
Um, yeah, I would have thought less so before, but since I've had a lot more engagement, it does motivate me to stream more. But for I guess it's kind of tough. So like I know that there's a component to it, but the way that I internally think about it is that I'm motivated to stream more because the stuff that I'm doing, it's like I get motivated a lot because I have only a couple people in real life that I can talk to about any of this shit, and I'm really invested in it. So it's just really nice to be able to talk to other people about the things that I'm interested in. And so when I'm streaming, it's like having the homies over. Like if there's like a new episode of a show that I'm watching, and like a bunch of my buddies like it too, we all watch it together. That's like a really cool feeling. Afterwards, we're all gonna talk about it. We're all gonna hype each other up about what we just watched. Sort of that kind of feeling. I get a really similar feeling as to when I stream. It is different, but that's sort of like that's the closest like emotion that I can relate it to. But
Mhm.
if you're somebody that like this is my 9 to 5 job, and as soon as the bigger streamer goes live, you watch everybody just empty out. Um, you, I think it's going to be really hard to not in that moment go like, "Yep," because that's what this is. Um,
Mm.
it's not really about me; it's about this other person, and it becomes super clear at that point. So I think that yeah, you are probably you're hurting yourself. I think it's important to not tie your self-worth too much to the numbers. If you're streaming because you're streaming things that you really like to do and you're not streaming for money, then I think you're going to be able to have fun no matter what. But when you start to make this, which is essentially a creative thing, right? Uh, e-
Yeah.
Even if it's not like a super original thing that you're doing, it's still a creative outlet. And if you're tying that to your finances, when you're not making a lot of money, you're going to start to feel bad about yourself creatively, which I think is sort of a trap. But if you're making the thing because if you're doing this because it's what you want to do, and then you get money as a result of that, um, as long as you don't switch those priorities, I think that it's really hard to let it like get you down. I think Stardust is the best example I can think of because before she was like a full-time streamer and like streaming all the time, I thought she had a much different style to her. She was like a lot more aggressive, she was a lot more fun, she was a lot more silly. And then when it became like her full-time job, there was just like a shift in her attitude and her personality, and it made it less fun to watch her streams. And it's bummed me out. And I didn't even say that to like shit on her. I say that in like a sympathetic way because I like Stardust. I really like pre like stream grinding Stardust.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't like her. Like
Yeah.
to be honest, like I really dislike probably 80% of the people I've watched until now. Like it's really, really like, and really like strongly dislike. And in my normal life, I have really generally I like most people. Like I have no problem with most people. I have had many jobs where I had to work with a lot of people. Like I was a bartender my whole like when I was studying, and I was always bartending, but and I don't dislike people that much, but I feel like the streaming sphere is really like streaming really brings out really bad things in people. It's crazy.
Yeah, it does. I see the worst version of myself when I'm in another streamer's chat.
Hmm.
I get so easily motivated to just like say all like the meanest jokes that are in my head and shit, and then afterwards I'm like, dude, I need to fucking chill out. Like I would never talk like this if there like if I was around like other people. Like if it's I talk in other streamers' chats the way I talk when I'm watching like a reality show with my wife and I'm just shitting on who's ever there just to make my wife laugh because it's funny to say something awful. But like I'm saying this in front of a bunch of other people in the chat to somebody who might actually see it. I'm like, that's not I don't feel good about this, but it took me a long time to notice that that's how I was behaving.
Do you read? I'm like in a dilemma. I wonder if it's maybe better if I can mitigate the negative consequences by just not reading anything. Like, I feel like, for example, many people get crazy because of their Reddit, like because of their
Oh,
subreddit. Like I saw like so many streamers just going crazy because something like some hype went on in their subreddit, and they just lose their mind. And I don't want to be so arrogant to say that it could never happen to me. So I feel
uh,
like maybe the best thing is just not reading it. Like,
one that's a temptation that you sort of have to face and like figure out if you can even avoid it. I'm in a nice position. I don't have a subreddit. I won't make a subreddit for myself. If I get cool enough to where people decide that like they need somewhere else to talk about my streaming, that's cool. But I
yeah,
thought
obviously, yeah.
yeah, it's hard to say how it'll affect you because I thought that I would be pretty sensitive to people being really mean about me in like YouTube comments and stuff, but like I was super surprised at like how much I just didn't give a shit. I think I've just seen people. I know how audiences behave, and I've seen enough stuff to just like not value broadly the Twitch poll audience's opinions about things.
Hmm.
Um, like if I'm uh but I'm still curious as to what people say. So like if I stream with somebody who's a lot bigger than me, I'll just sort of like scroll through their video to look at chat to see if anybody commented on like if I thought I had like a good idea to see if anybody in their chat like engaged with it or anything like that, just to see if anything's sticking because I'm curious. But I don't care if people say negative things at all, which
Hmm.
like I said, it might be the case that you're worried about that and then you run into that and you're like, "Oh, why do I care?" Like, who gives a shit? This person doesn't even have a face. It's just a name on the computer.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's how I see it. Like logically, what you're saying makes absolutely sense, and I feel like I would act that way as well. But when I see like these, basically, sometimes people like Destiny, he's like 10 years in the business, and he should be like, he's so successful, he's 10 years in the business, he should be like the most, like he should not care at all, but even a guy like him like is freaking out about it. And yeah, I don't know, it's just something I have respect for. I feel like it could even maybe subconsciously affect the way you act and the way you behave. And yeah, it's, I
Yet
don't know,
some
so
streamers have mental
you don't.
breakdowns over it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think I
so
think the
maybe.
more that your livelihood is tied into it, it might be the case that like if you're making really good money and you have all these negative comments coming through, it doesn't just end up feeling like oh these people are saying bad things about me, but like these people can maybe cause harm to my job at this point. So
Mhm.
you might get really
Yeah.
stressed about that and like, well, then how can I interact with it? And knowing that if you say anything, you're going to risk emboldening those people as well. It just might make you feel really trapped and not really know what to do. It's probably a really tough situation to be in if you're not super skilled at like navigating the conversation to go elsewhere.
Mhm. One more thing that I realized about like orbiters, it's when you have these I'm listening to rap music like basically my whole life. I've never listened to anything else, and
Yeah.
so I grew up with it basically. Like, and back in the days, like when a new nowadays it's a little bit different because there's so many rappers and everything's a little bit more short-lived. You don't know that much about the artist anymore. And but back in the days, you always had like you have rapper A, he becomes really super successful. For example, I don't know, you're probably familiar with 50 Cent and the Game, right? So
Yeah, in like the
50,
2000s era, I listened to rap almost exclusively.
awesome.
It's
So
golden
that's
age
yeah,
of rap,
exactly.
in my opinion.
Probably yeah, the first one. Yeah, for me too. Yeah. Uh, basically like 50 Cent gets super big, then he signs the Game and he becomes super big as well, and then they have a falling out, and like basically you have the emancipation of the artist from the mentor
Sure,
basically, like, and you have that like so many times and so many, and also you have that in I feel like you have that in different genres as well, and also in different in many branches you have this, I think. And now when you look at streaming, when you look at Vosh or Hassan or stuff like, or with Destiny, for example, you have similar dynamics. But I feel like it's really, really hard with streaming because, like, I don't know why, but I feel like it's way harder to do that step. I feel like there needs to be some other external forces that allow you to do that step. For example, if with Hassan or Vosh, it was like, okay, the left was like Destiny was not leftist enough in many points, and so there was a void, and so there was like the possibility. But other than that, it's like basically impossible to get out of the orbital trap once you're in it,
sure.
right?
Um, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, like when it's rap, all you have to do is put out good music. If you're already known, you can
Hmm.
put out good music, and people already know who you are. So it's super easy to divorce yourself from the person who gave you the fame. Um,
Yeah.
but people aren't. People are a lot more tribal when it comes to this space. People sort of tie their identity into being a fan of a certain streamer. It wouldn't make any sense to say like, oh, like you listen to 50 Cent, like, sorry, dude, I'm a Nelly fan. That would have never happened back then. You know what I mean? You'd be like, wait, what the fuck does that have to do? Like, you like Nelly, so you can't like 50 Cent? Well, like, what the fuck is this shit?
When I was I was not that old at that time, and I was a little bit
Oh,
like that. Like we had some tribalism going on back then, definitely. But I see what you mean. Like I was listening. I remember there. I was also listening to German rap because grew up in Germany, and
oh, okay.
we were listening to some rappers secretly, like because we didn't want to admit that we were listening to the record because it was like you can't listen to that, like because
Because
you
it
have this
wasn't cool.
tribalism going. Yeah, yeah, because you have this
Uh,
tribalism going on. You have like, okay, these two. I was like 9 or 10 or something like that, and me and our friends we were, and later on we
found out you were
talked
all
about it,
listening to
and
it.
yeah, we were all listening to it, but like secretly, So yeah.
So yeah, but even if you
Uh,
found out that somebody was listening to that rapper, you would have made fun of them, knowing damn well that you were gonna go home and listen to him.
Probably, yeah.
That's really, really funny.
Yeah, yeah. So why do you think like why do you think that the maybe it's something that we could compare, like the politics, Destiny not being leftist enough is maybe the equivalent of the Game putting out a better album than 50 Cent. Maybe this could be something like that. So there's just not just like a bigger hunger for what one is offering, but generally I feel like it's no one is like emancipating from their orbiter. Either they stick with the streamer, or they just stop. Like I don't know, for example, Irrelevant at the time he was like pretty big, I think. Like, but now I don't know what he's doing. Like
Are you suggesting that irrelevant is irrelevant? Uh,
I'm not sure. I don't really follow him, but I feel like he is right. Like when
um,
you compare it to a few years ago, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I feel like he's still like a good. I like. Let me put it this way. I would still think of him as somebody that if I interact with him, I'm like I'm pretty appreciative of his time and all that. But like I guess he's always been pretty cool with me. I know that if I ever want to call in on his show, he'd let me. And that like whenever I've invited him to do something, he said yeah. So I feel like he's just sort of like middle of the road to where like
Mm-hmm.
if a bigger streamer like sort of taps him in, like he's going to come because it's super good for him. But he's not
Mm-hmm.
so big to where like he's out of my reach either. Like if I'm like, hey, Irrelevant, do you
Mm-hmm.
want to come do this thing? And if it's not like an issue for him, like, yeah, for sure. Like he moderated
Mm-hmm.
my debate with Brianna Wu. It was like no
Mm-hmm.
problem. It was like instant, like, yeah, of course. When I did the male sexuality like round table conversation, they're like, yeah, of course, like right away. So I feel like it just depends on your scale. He was never like Destiny big, um, but he's always been, I think he's like does good enough to like he's probably paying some bills at least, you know. Um, but I don't but he is as far as I know, like he still seems like he's in Destiny's orbit, but he might dispute that himself. I don't know if he thinks of himself as in it. So it's sort of a question
You
of do you have to consent to being in the orbit to actually be an orbiter? Which I'd say probably not.
Yeah, I think it's a label that like the outside is giving you, right?
Yeah, it's well, yeah, it's an, but it's also like a descriptor too, because like you could
Mm-hmm.
argue against it and make like a good case that you're not. Like I think there
Mm-hmm.
was a case to be made at a certain point. At a certain point, it would have been tough to say if Lav was a Destiny orbiter or not. And at certain points, it was clear that she was. So it just depends. But I think that whether or not you get hit with the label is going to determine how people look at you a lot.
Do you plan on like I wanted to ask you why do you do content, but you already basically answered it. You said, okay, I just want to have a good time. Like this is basically I'm just streaming my social life, basically, to some extent, like a part of my social life.
Kind of. It's like yeah. When I stream, it's like a separate uh social life. Kind of yeah. But also like the goals and stuff that I have are never monetary. Like the things that I really like is having more access to being able to like talk to people that I think are really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that I could invite Irrelevant to come have a conversation with me, or like I know that the majority of like the people in this space I can have a conversation with um because I asked. That's pretty cool. And then or the fact that sometimes like people like you will ask me to have a conversation. And that's something that's pretty fun for me too. These are sort of um like milestones that are important to me. These are the things that I like take pride in. Or like I've gotten several donations from Lex Friedman in the last couple of months and some really kind words from him. Huge to me. Oh, like, oh my God. Like, there's nothing else I could do in my life that would get his attention. Like, I would have to completely change my life, become a completely different person to ever be put in front of his face ever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So these are the kinds of things that, like, really, like, make it something worth doing for me.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. Like the being able to talk to interesting people is a really, really, really big advantage of this space.
Yeah, or
But
like I've been malding about Mr. Girl's stupid physics take because I'm a big physics
mhm.
nerd. And if
Can you go into that, please? I didn't understand. I didn't read it. So I just saw today on Twitter like few posts of you and then Mr. Girl as well. But what's the take there?
he thinks that the universe, our universe, is like I'm pretty charitable, and I like to say approaching the event horizon of a black hole that's bigger than our universe, and or is in the event horizon, or just like our universe is a black hole bigger than the universe. However you want to put it there. That's what he thinks is happening, and that it explains a lot of like cosmological phenomena in its horse shit. I
Mhm.
hate it. I hate it so much. I hate that he says it with such confidence. I hate that he acknowledges that like he's a physics novice, but still says it so confidently. But if I wasn't in the position that I'm in, nobody would give a shit about how mad I am. I wouldn't be able to like. Him and I are gonna talk about this. It's like
Mhm.
unavoidable. He said he'll come on my stream to do it. I told him if you can't find a physicist to talk to, I'd be happy to come on your podcast and angrily leave. in their
Hmm.
place. But so like I actually get to channel how upset I am at him to him. And that's really great for me because and probably really great for my wife because she doesn't have any idea what the fuck I'm talking about, but she's gonna hear it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then I ended up writing I spent like 3 hours writing a paper on my Substack about his uh, conjecture. I refer to it as conjecture because that's all it is. Um, and I published it, and I know he read it because he liked my Substack about it. Um, and so like at least I know that if I get really upset when somebody says something really stupid, I have somewhere to put it where it's going to do something rather than
Hmm.
if I'm just a viewer, it does nothing at all. Even if that
Yeah, it's
something's
like,
tiny.
yeah, you, yeah, I get what you mean. But mhm, you, I realized like two things about you. Like one thing is you really get along with everyone. Like that's generally something I really, really dislike. If someone gets along with anyone, then I really dislike that generally. But with you, somehow I don't know why, actually, I can't really explain why, but I don't feel bad. Like I don't feel negatively about it,
I would guess it's
but I don't
because you
get
don't
it.
think I'm full of shit. Most people that get along with everybody, they get along with everybody because they're full of shit. They're trying to
Yeah,
please everybody, but like I'm pretty interested in people.
I thought about that, but then I also found examples where in my personal life where I knew that they were not full of shit, that they're just
Oh,
like needy for harmony, that they just love the harmony and just like, yeah, get something out of everybody. And but still it annoys me. But I don't, maybe one day I'll figure out when, if I figure it out, I'll tell you. But
sounds good.
I don't see how you, like, how at the same time, like, just as an example, like Mr. Girl has like one take, for example, about somebody, and this take is like painting this person in such a horrible picture, basically. Like, I think, for example, about the Destiny Mr. Girl falling out, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's something that's really like a big topic on your channel. When I look through your stuff, like you have at least like 7 or 8 live streams just about the falling out, and um yeah, then you had the interview with Destiny and like panels, and yeah, like there was something that really interests you. So in that case, like you have really hard allegations against Destiny, and at the same time you have like, yeah, so I can't see how you can be like good with both sides. That's like something that's really
Oh, I see.
foreign to me. Yeah.
So I I've always tried to approach people with an understanding that good people can do bad things. And it seems like the world that we live in, people think if you've done a bad thing, you're automatically a bad person. And so, therefore, everything that you do is an extension of this internal badness that you have. But I think that what Destiny did is, like the falling out between them, I think that mistakes were made on both sides. And so, when, if Destiny does something that I think is good, I'm not going to go like, well, this is actually bad because he's a bad guy. I don't think like I don't think of most people in good or bad terms. It takes a lot for me to brand somebody as a bad person. A lot of times I just think people are misguided. So I guess I just try to empathize with the person on the thing that I'm looking at and not look at their entire life story when I'm trying to evaluate a person in the moment. That's how we end up getting too set in our thoughts and making bad decisions about people. Does that make sense? I don't know if I was
Kind
too in
of,
my own
but
head.
no, no, I get what you said, but I feel like if Destiny is not, it didn't do something that bad, like then you should be like, how can you make a report about somebody where you want that journalists read that and cancel him, basically? Like how can you want him to be canceled? Like then I would just, then I would expect you, if I have that explanation from you, I would expect you to go to Mr. Girl and say, stop it. Like you can't destroy this man's life. He's not a bad person. He just did something bad. right?
I don't think that the report ever had a chance of really hurting Destiny. I never thought that. I thought it was a suicide
Really?
mission the whole time. Yeah. Like I thought that Mr. Girl had to do it because he believed he needed to do it. I think that
Mm.
for Mr. Girl, the report was him it was his repentance for ignoring the things that were right in front of his face that offended his own moral identity, particularly with Anna. He brushed her aside, and I think that when he realized that he was complicit in things that he didn't agree with because of financial incentives and like fame incentives, I think that it really freaked him out and he needed to do something to correct that. And part of correcting it means doing something that would make it impossible for him to go back to how that was. That's the way I view
So,
it.
mhm. So basically, you saw him throw a punch, but you knew he was gonna fall down. He was not gonna, the punch was not gonna land. Because I feel
Yeah,
like,
well, kind of. So
yeah, yeah,
it's more like this. I'm pretty nonviolent guy, right? But if I'm gonna get into a fight with a person, it has no bearing on whether or not I think I'm gonna win that fight. It's about either um, if you're not gonna stop doing what you're doing, then you're gonna have to kick my ass in order to keep doing it. There's no way around that. You're either gonna stop, I'm gonna kick your ass, or you're gonna kick my ass. I think you're probably gonna kick my ass, but that's gonna be the price you have to continue doing it. I just cannot sit here and allow this to happen anymore. So I don't really care about
did you,
winning.
wouldn't then the consequence be that you should have stopped Mr. Girl anyways to still stop him because you don't want him to go on a suicide mission? Or
No,
did you just, no? Why not?
no. Because I wouldn't want anybody to stop me from getting my ass kicked if I believe that strongly
Hmm.
in stopping and in doing my best to stop somebody. Because it's not about the effect that I have, it's about me doing what I think I have to do. So I think for him, the purpose of the report is him doing what he thought he had to do.
Hmm.
And that's like not to sound like really new agey about it, but like that's just like his journey. He had to do that. If he didn't do that, I don't think if Mr. Girl didn't write the Destiny report, I don't think that he can look at himself in the mirror anymore. I don't think he can sleep at night. And I understand that because if I it's the same reason why I can't just go like make myself some bacon right now. Like I'm vegan, so I can't just decide to stop doing it because I don't feel like it. I wouldn't respect myself anymore. I wouldn't like myself anymore. So I just think that in that sort of sense, he never had a choice. And if I stopped him, um, what does that make me? Like I'm gonna be the catalyst to make him live his life full of regret and hate himself. I don't want to be that guy. I also don't believe in stopping people from making their own choices. I could have seriously helped one of my best friends my entire life avoid jail if I would have just not let him do like we smoked weed together and my bag of weed was always his bag of weed. He was on probation and I was like, dude, you know you can't. But I was like, look, my weed's always been your weed. Like it's not like this is invalidated, but like if you smoke it, you're gonna be a fucking retard and you're gonna tell yourself you can take niacin and it'll flush your system out and it's not gonna work and you're gonna go to jail. But I'm not gonna prevent you from smoking. Like that's on you. I really hope that you don't. And he did go to jail. But that's on him.
But physically, like I don't mean like, but you said, dude, you like those are the consequences. This is what's gonna happen. This is stupid. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's really how you feel about this destiny situation, right?
Yeah, when I was 13, my friend told me that they were gonna hang themselves, and I tried to talk them out of it, but I never tried to stop them either. Like I didn't feel my whole life, I've never felt like it was okay to try to stop somebody from making a choice for themselves. I think now that I'm older, in
Mhm.
that instance, I have a better understanding that like you're not really deciding that for yourself. You're in a kind of way where like you're not really making decisions for yourself. Your brain is improperly functioning, and I might step in now, but like I've always felt really, really strongly that you don't stop somebody from deciding what's right for them.
I see.
But I'm
It's
mad at him
really,
for writing the
really,
report, but I respect it.
Really?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
I'm
It's
furious with him about it. He canceled my favorite TV show, man.
yeah, you seem really up. You seem like it's really it was really upsetting you, and it felt like you really had to go through the divorce of your not parents, but like your like you know what I mean? Like you were like this these streams. I haven't watched them all, but partly it was like you had to go through what happened. How did it all go to shit, basically?
Yeah,
Uh,
it did mean a lot to me because I really value Mr. Girl as a creator, um, and he bears himself out a lot. So like I value him as a person. I think he has a really good way of bringing controversial things to light, which I think is important. And he ruined something that I thought was extremely valuable, which was getting people to think about things in a different way, getting conversations that are impossible for almost anybody else to have publicly. And this is, I mean, it's not. He's still online. He's still doing stuff, but like it's not the same. He destroyed the impact of it, and it's hard to watch somebody do that. It's like watching somebody destroy a piece of art. You know, it's it's infuriating, but it's your art. I can't stop you, but like Jesus fucking Christ, I wish you didn't do it. I respect the decision. I know why you had to for you, but like that doesn't change how I feel about it. So yeah, it fucking sucked.
I really disliked the interview you did with Destiny because
The first one?
it. I think I just saw one
Okay.
and I couldn't finish it. I just like maybe watched like 15 minutes of it. Not because of did because you did a bad job or anything, but it was because like maybe it was performative on his side to like show the audience that he doesn't care about the whole falling out and stuff, but it was like so like the king on the throne and the guy the journalist coming with this small notebook and asking him for an audience and like the way his whole posture like the whole body language of the both of you was like so I was like doesn't matter how much money you make or how many people watch this, like you guys are just two dudes that watch sit in front of a camera, so why the fuck is it like so
I think it's the first
is the
one.
power differential so visible, and why do you live so much in this power differential? It's like, yeah. You think it's the
Um,
first one? It was performative.
no, I think it was the first time, like when I interviewed him about Mr. Girl and I
Yeah.
just asking him questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the first time I ever talked to Destiny. It was like the
Mm-hmm.
biggest deal in the world to me. And then afterwards, it's
Yeah, I
like
could
that
tell.
kind of fucking sucked. He
Yeah.
was like way more interested in the game that he was playing than talking to me.
Yeah.
And
That's so.
I got zero Destiny energy whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was pretty bummed out because it I could have just as well been talking to like a Destiny AI and gotten just as much out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Like maybe even more. Probably
Yeah.
more. And the like that's really like I already thought about that before, because again like in like I was like, okay, I'm never gonna do that. Like, I'm just not gonna talk to streamers that are like so much bigger than you because there's always the risk of like, yeah, of making you feel like they do you a favor, and it's really like, I mean, right now you are doing me a favor basically, to a certain extent, but it's like still chill, you know? Like,
Yeah, maybe
I still
definitionally, but I
feel
don't
like,
think of it that way.
yeah, yeah, that's yeah. But so yeah, I really dislike that, and at that point, I think I would also lose my sympathy, but you don't. So you're like, yeah, you really like getting along with everyone, right?
I like connecting with people.
Hmm.
If I'm talking to you, I want to understand. I want to. There's no. There's nothing in it for me if I can't get a better understanding of who you are.
Hmm.
I like to when I'm interacting with somebody. I like to I guess it just there's a connection you can have with people when you approach them a certain way, when you engage with them a certain way, where you feel like you've gotten a better understanding of who they are, and I think that's something in and of itself is valuable. I like uh
Hmm.
I like that in life. Um and I think that's probably why I guess I'm not super sure as to like my underlying motivations to it, but I see like a lot of people interact with each other, but like they don't give a shit about what they're saying to each other, or like they say things they don't mean, and I think that's really weird and it freaks me out. When I'm talking
Hmm.
to people, sometimes people will get irritated with me because I'll ask them a lot of questions about what they say. They think like I'm investigating them, trying to call them a liar or something. Like, I just want to understand what you're saying. Like, why am I talking to you if I'm gonna have to guess about what you mean when you say stuff? I'm talking to you. Let me understand you. Words are just like the best thing that we have right now to take what's in here and put it into your head. And if I'm unclear about what you're saying to me, then like, and I don't ask, I feel like I'm being dishonest with you. If I nod and act like I understand and I don't, I'm lying to you, and I don't want to lie to you. So I
Do you
think you
feel
have to
like
have
you
some empathy in order to get there.
do you feel like is that why you didn't dislike the you is that why you disliked the conversation with Destiny because you felt like you didn't do
Yeah, there
that
was
enough?
it was completely devoid of any connection whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about like people like your fans trying to change you? Like that's something that all the streamers have to deal with all the time. And last time you had a discussion with Counterpoints, if I'm correct,
Yeah.
like a few maybe a few days ago or a week ago. And after that, two of your fans called in and they were like, "Why did you let him roll over you? And you have to be like more hard on people, and you can't." Yeah, I don't know. It was like a critique. I understood what
Yeah.
they meant.
I was just
Yeah, what do
fine.
you think about?
So I thought it was really useful that they came in and told me that because I didn't see that in counterpoints at all. What they said made a lot of sense, and I was trying to think about how I could navigate that because I thought that when I was interacting with him, he felt so commendable to me. It felt like he was doing his best to be respectful, and so I have to consider that maybe I'm misinterpreting that because
Mhm.
I like being nice to people, and if I and I know that because of that, sometimes I'm nicer than I ought to be on stream. I know I like there's a thing in my head that says like I know I need to be meaner in certain situations when I'm streaming. Um, but it's difficult for me because I don't necessarily want to be mean to people. Um, but I know that I can be. Well, in theory, at least I can be. It seems like I'm pretty fucking bad at it when I'm streaming, and sometimes I'm mad at myself because I'm like, why weren't you like? It was appropriate to be like kind of shitty right then, and like I think that in the moment I don't see it because I'm so focused on like seeing a person in front of me.
But
So I think it was a pretty good eye opener when Tuna and F bombs pointed this out to me. Um, yeah, I guess for me, I guess that was a pretty good learning experience. Uh, I think the thing that they saw is a thing that I miss in people a lot is that Counterpoints was saying certain things, but like obviously what he meant was something else, and I'm taking him at face value because I haven't had a lot of interactions with him to know that when he says things like this, he's actually just sort of he's just sort of doing that to sort of like redirect and push a different idea. He's dismissing what I'm saying, not agreeing with what I'm saying, and then like pushing this other idea in front of me. So I think it was
yeah,
valuable,
kind of, yeah.
but
But
I
at
think
the
that I couldn't have done it any other way the first time around.
at the end of the day, it's I mean, you like I mean you're basically on two sides. Like on the one side, you have people that are criticizing you and want you to change, and on the other side, you are like watching, for example, a Mr. Girl, and you ask him to change, like and like you tell him to, right? Like, and but at the end of the day, and like everybody does that, everybody feels that way,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, I don't feel like you should change, because then again you could just, no, take a 9 to 5, like,
Yeah, any
why?
changes that I make will be because I'm better informed, not because they push me to do so. So like when they're criticizing my performance in that debate, I'm listening to the criticism, but I'm not bending to the criticism. So I'll use that criticism to inform how I'm going to view my future interactions, but I'm still going to behave based on that new information, how I want to behave. And I'm not going to
Hmm.
go, well, what would Tuna say about this? No, 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 no. But I'll think like, remember what Tuna said. Do I think this is happening? And if so, how do I want to respond to that? It's just new information that's going to be put through the same lens that I already have. Um, I'm not going to act in a way that is adhering to what they wanted from me, though. It's possible that it could align, but my intention is just to be better informed when engaging in a similar situation, not to make them happy. I don't give a shit. Like if they don't like it, then I like they can come and talk to me about it again. That's fine. But I'm stubborn like that. I've always been like that.
One word that is really popular in your corner of the internet, or Mr. Girl's corner of the internet, is like words like people pleasing.
Yeah,
And yeah, I really hate the word. I have some personal connections with the word, like in my like childhood, and
sure.
so I really dislike the word. It's like really annoying me, because like I don't know, I never really saw anyone people pleasing that really was a people pleaser, I guess. Or they were still people pleasing, but yeah,
People
so
pleasing is there's always something underneath it.
what's the difference? Could you please elaborate what the difference to you is between being a people pleaser and wishing for harmony, or conflict avoidant, or
Sure. Yeah. I think so people pleasing on its face, I would say, is the kind of behavior that you're going to exhibit when you have an insecurity. You're responding to an insecurity within yourself and you're not really responding to the other people. You're adhering to the insecurity. You're not adhering to the betterment of the other person when you're doing kind things for them. You're adhering to that insecurity. Like I need to I need to make sure that they're happy when they're around me, so that way they don't touch that sore spot on me. This is what a lot of people are doing when they're people pleasing. When they're conflict avoidant, this is sort of like pointing out what that vulnerability is. I can't really handle conflict, so I'm just going to agree. And that's like that form of people pleasing. Like I don't like arguing with people. It freaks me out. I'm afraid if I argue with somebody, then they're not gonna like me, and then they're gonna because they don't like me, they're gonna hurt me in some way. I think that's what a lot of people who are conflict avoidant are going for. But wanting harmony with people, I think comes from I think that's probably more where I align with. Is that I want to, at least insofar as if I can get a good enough understanding of somebody to decide if I care about them or not, is kind of what I want. I don't want to understand how I'm going to treat a person on bad information. So I have to be charitable. I have to be willing to listen. I have to be malleable enough to where I'm not creating problems for the person so that I can see who they actually are. And then after I kind of get a good baseline for that, then I can decide if I really give a shit about how they feel about how I act, right?
I feel like people pleasing sounds like I am a person that really wants to always like make other people feel good, where mostly it's just conflict avoidance, which is like a totally different thing, like don't wanting
Uh,
to get into conflict can just be like self-defense, like being scared of getting hurt in the conflict, like, and
yeah,
it's so different to people pleasing that, yeah, I don't, and also the second part I have a big problem with is like calling yourself a people pleaser. That's my identity now. Like it's not just something I engage with, but that's now my identity. Like that's just the way I am. Like and that's really like I don't know, it goes in this this eternal pet patholo pathology, or how do you say it?
Pathology.
Like yeah, making a pathology about out of everything that we do in this space, you know? Like he's an abuser, he's a people pleaser, he's a I don't know what, you know, it's like he has ADHD and I don't know. Oh, sorry, but I know this is a sensitive topic, was not against you, but you know what I mean, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's
I
like
I think that in order to engage with certain aspects of ourselves and verbalize them without it being something harmful, if you say like, I think it's a lot better and a lot healthier when people say I was a people pleaser than to say I am a people pleaser. It's much better to adhere that label to like a past version of yourself. But if you put it onto yourself, it makes it a lot harder to get over that hurdle then and
I
move
feel like
forward from it.
they just say that to justify how disagreeable they are now. Like
Oh, sure, sure.
they
Um,
just say that in order to say, yeah, but it's like I'm really disagreeable right now, but it's because I was in the past on the other side of the extreme. Like, you know what I
s-
mean?
so well, I guess what I mean by that is that I think for the most part, these things are boxes that we put ourselves in. So if you say like I am a people pleaser, this means that you're already determining how your behavior is going to be moving forward, which means you
Hmm.
already sort of have a blueprint for how to behave in a situation. However, I think that there is a value if you are being really introspective about it, go like shit, I'm kind of being a people pleaser here, and I don't like that. If you're evaluating it from the top down, I think there's a lot of value to that because then you can do something about it. But if you're not evaluating it all and you're simply recognizing it and expressing it, that's when you're setting up a plan for how you're going to behave. So there's and I think that the reason why it happens now is because at some point we realized the value of this top down evaluation of our own like pathological behaviors so that we can overcome them. But somehow this has sort of shifted into an acceptance of our pathological behaviors, and then by labeling ourselves as that, with like this huge wave of like you have to accept me how I am kind of mentality that society's taken on, um, it allows people to just get comfortable with that and then demand that other people work around their like this pathology rather than seeing it as a thing to overcome. So in order to engage with these kinds of ideas productively, you really have to be introspective about it and have a self-betterment mindset in order to do anything about it. Otherwise, you really are just sort of like fucking yourself over. You're trying to tell other, you're letting other people know how they can take advantage of you, and you're also you're stifling yourself from becoming anything different. Like if you want to be the
I
same
feel
way for
like
the rest of your life, go for it.
yeah.
But you're probably not really happy being a people pleaser. And when you call somebody an abuser, you're trying to put them in a box, which gives everyone else a blueprint as to how to treat them.
Yeah, I think it's both, to be honest. Also, same with the saying I'm a people pleaser. You're not
Yeah.
putting yourself in a box, you're asking other people to put you in that box.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're asking of other people to view you through that lens. And that's like really, I don't know, it's yeah, it's one of my issues with with that. Um yeah, I wanted to talk to you about two more things. You can choose if you wanna do one first or the other one first, or if you wanna do just one or both.
We'll do both, but I'll pick
One
which one
is
first.
okay. Um, I want to start doing debates. I have my first one on Sunday. It's something I really enjoy.
Hell yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about the platforms and the experience you've made there, and yeah, just some some insight into the whole debate sphere. And the second topic will be veganism.
Oh, cool. Start with the debate one because I really really love debate. And
Hmm.
in case you get really frustrated with me on the veganism thing, it doesn't bleed into the conversation about debates.
Perfect. Okay. So first of all, like there's right now, I don't I know like back in the days I saw modern day debates and they were like not that big. But right now, like it seems like modern day debate really is pretty big, right?
Did it
Like
seem
it's
like it
the
happened
biggest.
overnight?
Yeah, right?
It's
Like I
weird.
was really shocked. Yeah. Um and generally I like the vibe. It really seems like a non-partisan platform.
Yeah,
Though I feel like the topics are pretty like it's always the same topics lately. It's always like Christianity against Islam, Christian against atheists, Islam against atheism. Like it's really
sure.
pretty interesting. And I went into the Discord channel, and also they really explicitly like they have a few number of topics, and I if you go against these topics, if you want to do something else, they say there is not really an audience for that. Didn't happen to me, but I saw that it happened to other people that they asked for. Yeah. So what do you think about it? Do you think it's the best platform? Do you think that there is better platforms? If yes, which ones? Um, and are you still planning to have regular debates?
I want nothing more than to have more debates. If
Hmm.
I could, that would be the vast majority of my content, but it's just hard to find people that want to do that. I think day debate, like you probably have no better place of like getting known as a debater that I can figure right now, unless you have like the means. Like if you could like show up on Destiny stream and like crush him in a debate, that would probably be better. But save for that, day debate seems like a pretty good thing. The I think what you're saying is true about the topics. Like just looking at their YouTube, it's all their highest viewed stuff. It seems like religion is like the most. It brings in the biggest crowds just from glossing over their stuff. Like you go to politics debates, and it's filtered under popularity. We're looking in like the 10 to 50K views. You
Hmm.
go to religion, 525,000, five
It's
hundred
crazy,
sixty-six
right?
thousand, 84,000.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's
it's
just kind
insane.
of
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah. So, um, yeah, I think modern day debate, like that would be really, really cool. I'd be super happy to be in any way involved in a modern day debate. That's
Hmm.
that's super good for you. Shoot me a link when you stream that, and I'll watch over your
Hmm.
debate and pick it apart like I did when I don't know, one of my viewers sent me what they debated Tom, and I watched that whole thing and commented through on that. Tomfoolery.
Tomfoolery? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I know him. Yeah.
yeah.
Wait,
Emery argued with them.
can I just ask you to stop 1 second? I know it's really late, but I just want to check the audio for 1 second.
True elk. Religion's always the topic here.
All right. It
Oh,
was good audio.
what was your other question about it though?
Yeah, if you have other platforms that you could that you think are good. I tried to enter the Crucibles Discord channel. They didn't let me in. It's like insane. It's crazy.
I don't
It's
like the
crazy.
Crucible. I debated Big
Yeah.
Papa Fascist a long time ago. My audio is dog shit for the whole debate. It's still on
Hmm.
my YouTube channel, but
On
like
yours?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's way back there. My audio is terrible. I had no idea what I was doing at all. I still barely know what I'm doing with my setup and all that, but it's significantly improved from what it was. But the Crucible is tough. I think honestly the best way to get a debate is if you're really of that mind is probably to just pick a fight with somebody who says something on Twitter, and then after a few back and forths, DM them and ask them if they want to debate you.
Hmm.
Um, And then, because there's sort of there's like this pressure in this space that if somebody says no, you get to say they ran from you, and they know this, even if
Mm-hmm.
that's not your intention.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at least in their head, you know.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, I have this one guy, Michael Brigandi. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name correctly, but I think that is him. Yeah, Mike Brigandi. Do you know him? He's like a pretty famous TikToker, not really big in the YouTube sphere, but he had a few debates as well. And he didn't want to debate me, but yeah,
I don't
I
wait.
don't know.
What? I'm almost certain I don't know who he is.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
it's funny when I first
But
started streaming, I had way more high profile debates than now.
mhm,
Like Darth Dawkins, some dude who has like a million followers on TikTok, I debated like way
mhm,
earlier. Um, a big papa fascist, like all these people. I can't remember the dude's name, but he debated Destiny on abortion. Um,
mhm.
and now that was many years ago, and like now like I have no idea how I managed to get so lucky to like be in the right place at the right time for those.
Are you in the Discord channel? I mean, there's the challenge board and stuff like that. Do you ever,
Modern day debate.
or are you just, yeah,
Honestly, it never even occurred to I'm stupid sometimes. It never even occurred to me to join their Discord. I'm gonna now though.
yeah, it's like I don't know what type of people are there. I watched one stage debate today on trans people. It was not that high quality of a debate, but it was okay. I mean, for like amateur, like it's totally fine. Like, um, yeah. Um, yeah. What I realized about the crucibles, they get pretty big, but they do like this. It's really like more of a entertainment show. I feel like it's not really. They don't really care about the content.
It depends on who's the host is.
Hmm.
That's what I think. If you have if who's the main guy?
Andrew Wilson is like, is that Big Papa Fascist?
Yeah, no, I mean who's the main guy in modern day debate? Who's like the main host? He's the
Oh,
guy
I
who like
don't know his
started
name,
it.
but I know who you know. You know, you
It
mean the guy with the suit and yeah,
yeah, I feel like if he's the
yeah.
one running it, it's gonna be a good show. If it's one of these
Oh,
guys that
he's
I
in the.
don't know, then
Hmm.
I don't know.
Mm, yeah, yeah. He's pretty good. He does a good job. I think Andrew Wilson is hilarious. Like he's really funny. Like he's entertaining, but it's just yeah, it doesn't do the quality of the debate mostly suffers from it a little bit.
He can be
Okay, so
funny, but I mostly
basically,
find him annoying.
yeah, he can be annoying, but I think that's mostly funny. But yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. Uh, do you have any, so no other platforms that you recommend?
I used to debate a lot in the intellectualist server, but I've since left it. So if you find that server, I'd check it out. I used to get debates in there all the time. Sorry, I had some feedback in my headphones. And it was like they seemed like pretty good quality debates. But otherwise, yeah, I've kind of like wondered that myself. What would be the best way? I've been um I've been trying to like sort of like plan a route into finding them because panels kind of suck.
Yeah, no, I will never do the panels. It's really
I've limited
doesn't make any
myself.
sense.
If you can find it, if there's a panel and you can get on it and you really care about the thing, do that. Otherwise, don't like that's how I'm with them now. If I really care about it, because that's going to allow me to interrupt people to make my voice heard. And because if I don't care, I'll just let people keep talking and I'll just sort of like wait until there's a lull or something really catches my attention. But if I'm passionate about the subject, then I can actually like be a person who's on the panel, I guess. There's no point in being there unless you're going to be able to make a lot of noise. You have to like force your presence on them. So I'd say if you
But
can do it because it'll help you get out there. It'll help people know who you are. if you have a good
I
showing.
know. Yeah.
But that's the only circumstances that I do them anymore. Like I just did one because I really really cared about it. Um, and I thought I had one of my best panel
The
showings on that
therapy
one.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. You did a good job there. I
I was
think.
losing my goddamn mind. That's why.
Yeah, you were passionate about it, so you were more confrontational.
Yeah.
Uh,
But don't just go on them to go on them. I think that makes I think you just end up fading into the background, and that's not what you want to be doing for you, and that's not what you want to be doing to help you be able to get into more stuff either. So, when it comes to actual debates, you tell me if you find a good place that seems like it's generating them, because
mm,
a lot of them that I was in before too, like where I ended up debating Darth Dawkins, they just sort of dissolve. I don't know why. It seems like
mhm,
these discords sort of cannibalize themselves.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Also, yeah. I mean, the problem with the panels is that the whole structure of the conversation, there is no structure to the conversation. It's just people talking. Like there is one person saying something interesting, and it's like a goes for 30 seconds, and then somebody else says something completely unrelated. And like, yeah, I don't want to do it. Like I know it gets you a lot of attention because you're like profiting out of from all the panelists, but no, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I don't know how much
Okay.
of a turnaround there is in followers from them either, because most people are going to be
Yeah.
watching the host, and then
Mm-hmm.
everybody else is seeing you through everybody else's stream. I don't know how much that's going to lead people to like come over to you, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good for you if you know that you care. Otherwise, like, bleh.
Yeah. And I don't care. Like as I've said, like I have a 9 to 5. I have a job. I don't want to do this like a 9 to 5. Like I just want to do what I enjoy, and if it doesn't bring me anything, it's that's totally fine as well. But
Keep this in mind. Growth is always going to be a thing that lets you do what you want to do more and better, though. Don't think of growth in terms of like your finances at all, but the more people know who you are, the more you grow, the easier it's going to be able to talk to who you want to talk to. That's the mindset I have, and I've been able to talk to like every person that I've wanted to talk to.
mhm.
So growing is good. You do want to bring people to your channel, because if you ask to talk to somebody and they look at your channel, the more subscribers you have, the more likely they're going to think it's lucrative for them to talk to you, right?
That's true, but um I feel like kind of, for example, when we take Mr. Girl as an example, I think that him losing all of the Destiny followers and everything and having to start from scratch is what freed him from this, from basically from being an employee. Like
Yeah.
it was a freeing thing. I think it was good for his overall growth. Like there is this study that searched why after World War II Germany was able to, within like 15 years after everything had been destroyed, like Germany was completely bombed out, like nothing was working anymore, everything was destroyed, and they were like wondering why did it was it able to regain its strength so fast, like within like 15 years. And the reason was especially because everything had been bombed away. Because like you had money coming in from the US, from Russia as well, and they were able to build everything from the ground up, but in a way better way after like industrialized way. So they would have never built the railways as they would have built it if it wouldn't have all been destroyed, because it would have been way too expensive. But if everything's destroyed, you can just build up from the ground and everything can grow like way better. And so I don't want to build like this. I don't want to do the mistake that Mr. Girl did. Like I don't want to go into a space of somebody else and get their following
Yeah.
and poison my own. Like you know what I mean? Like you basically, if you drink, like you can grow when you eat food and drink from their fountain, but it can poison you. Like and
Yeah. I think that I used to be kind of surprised. Like I think I had very little, certainly some, but very little did I pull from Mr. Girl's audience over into mine. I think that mine has been pretty organic for the most part. Um,
Hmm.
which is weird. And I think that Smeth had an initial bump to begin with because I think that Mr. Girl fans really, really liked Smeth. So I think that helps him get his footing like really quickly. Also, he is a super interesting guy. I'm not saying like the only reason he's doing good is because of that, but I think that, that was certainly a good push to help motivate him. Um, I think that yeah, if you're gonna get your initial community by siphoning off of somebody else's, you're going to have to adhere to that community to keep the growth going. And that's not what you're looking to do, is what you're saying, yeah?
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's not at all. Like I yeah. I would, for example, you just said if you would be really good to debate Destiny, like I, I don't want to like talk big, but like I would debate Destiny, but on a neutral platform like modern day debates. I would love to like, but like this whole thing, like even Mr. Girl, like it's not a good platform like to talk to him. I think he's like also engaging the same ego games and stuff like that a little bit, like with his viewers and with like
He knows this, which is why when I debate him
yeah.
about his black hole shit, he's gonna come to my stream.
Yeah, that's good. That's nice
That's
of
what
him. Yeah.
that was what he said. I'll talk to you about it on your stream, and I think that's his way of protecting me from his platform when it's a confrontational kind of stream.
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah, that's
that's what you said there is really smart. I think you have a really strong mindset about this. You know, you're only going to do this how the way that you want to do this. You're not sort of jumping in with like an experimental mindset. You know what you want already.
yeah. I don't want a 9 to 5. Like I want to
Yeah,
lose the 9 to 5. This is my whole goal is to lose the 9 to 5 with, and that incorporates doing something you like and not having a boss. Like not.
because otherwise, what's the point? Like you said.
Yeah, what's the fucking point? Like you're risking so much. Like you're risking your reputation, you're risking like shitstorms, you're risking everything. Like you're risking making a fool out of yourself because no one watches you. Like so yeah. I think that's that in that part modern day debate does a really good job. I feel like they really take someone who's really big, someone who's like small, and they put him on the same level. It's really like I don't know, I saw it a few times with Destiny. He's debating some it's of course also cool of Destiny to do it. It's like
Yeah,
cool
that's
of him
something
that
he's always
he
been
does
really
it.
good with. I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I came and sort of debated with him a bit about Mr. Girl right before the interrogation stream, and this
Mm-hmm.
had a much different vibe than when I was talking to Irrelevant and he came to where I was. It was way more. I felt like I had way more control over when I could talk and all of that.
Yeah, I'm sure it was like this. I'm sure like most of it is not even consciously.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for being talking to Destiny, like you've come to him, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're talking to in front of DGG, knowing that like if he wanted to, like he decides when it's over. Whereas if when I
Yeah.
was on a relevant stream, he comes to me. If he leaves,
Yeah.
he's the one who left. He can't
Mm-hmm.
kick me.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think that's a really big one.
Yeah, so there's no way that he if I pin him down and he doesn't want to deal with me anymore, he has to run. He can't get rid of me.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's a really big one.
I don't feel like I have to be careful in order to get my point across at all.
Hmm. And also, you don't have to think about if it is if he's also getting something out of it. You
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have to be like the yeah entertaining for his audience and uh not be boring because maybe somebody else finds what you say boring, you know. And on your own stream, you can just be boring, like because you know what I mean. Like that's
It's up to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's no
yeah.
external pressure from another person
Hmm.
who's like I don't have this looming incentive to be interesting at every moment.
Yeah. Hmm. I want to get into the
Yeah, veganism.
Veganism.
Yeah, let's do it.
uh,
So
yeah, you
tell me
don't
why
really
you're a
talk
vegan.
that much about it. I'm not a vegan.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't want to be the like. I'll bring it up insofar as that um like I might mention that like I mentioned that I am, I'd say every so often because it'll like tie into something else. But like, well, obviously I don't think that like, dude, I'm a vegan. Like that's how I'll usually bring it up.
mhm.
So like saying like I can't have that position. Like I'm a vegan. It would be contrary to like my values. So I think it comes up a bit like that, but yeah, I don't. I don't fit like the typical vegan in this space kind of mold, I would say. It's not my whole personality by any means.
Since when are you a vegan?
Um, Let me see. Oh, wow, time is really fun. I think a little over 3 years.
Okay. So, do you want to talk about it now, or do you want to have a formal debate on modern day debates?
Oh, you want to debate me on veganism? Oh my God.
I would debate you on veganism. I mean, I wanted to debate a
Yeah,
guy in the Discord channel of this Mike Brigandi guy, but he turns out to be a little crazy because he's like insulting people all the time, and he got banned from modern day debates. So I'm not sure if I want to do it, like to have like a shit show debate. But and I really want to do perspective philosophy also,
yeah.
debate him on it. Um, but maybe just as a you can think about it at some point, but just as a quick thing,
I
why do you think veganism is the correct?
Okay, sure. So, I guess I don't know that much about. Usually, I talk to people about this in a much more personal way. I don't know how many times I've actually debated somebody like um impersonally about it. So I guess I'll put it like this. I think that there is, I think that most people already know that it's bad. I think that most of the time, if you talk to somebody, you can have two people who are not vegan discussing, like if somebody brings it up, like that, like where food comes from and all that. It's a thing that most people avoid. Most people don't want to talk about it. There's a reason why people find vegans annoying, and it's not because uh they just disagree. It's because people don't want to think about it. I think that there's a cognitive dissonance with most people to where they don't want to see images of animals in getting mistreated in the farms where it's extremely common. They don't want to talk about the treatment of people in meatpacking facilities or slaughterhouses. They want to avoid all of these things because deep down they think that what they're doing is wrong and they want to distance themselves from it as much as possible. Um, I would say that there's probably very few things that are as close to there being an objective morality as there is the idea that torturing, killing, and raping and murdering animals for our own selfish desires is wrong. Like I feel like I don't know who said it, but somebody said you put a strawberry and a bunny into a baby's playpen. Which one is the baby going to play with, and which one is the baby going to eat?
Are you asking me?
I mean, it's
I mean,
rhetorical, but
it's
sure.
yeah,
And I think there's a
but
reason for
what does it?
this.
Yeah.
So when you're a kid and you find out and you find out that the meat that you've been eating are animals, most kids are really upset by this, and they get immediately comforted by their parents, and then they indoctrinate them. In order to not be vegan, you have to be indoctrinated because a child who isn't like they don't really have any capacity to decide anything on their own. Everything is given to them from their parent, idea wise. So a parent has to explain to the child that there's nothing wrong with this because the child will instinctively know that this is wrong. I don't want to kill animals. I don't want a pig to die. That's why there's a pork chop on my plate. You know what I mean? That it offends them. Our human reaction to understanding that animals go through what they go through to become our food is horror, and we have to be convinced out of it when we're extremely malleable, right? Like, I don't think that even if you think that it's fighting animals, I feel like you have to agree with this. Like, if you seen a kid find out for the first time that their food comes from animals getting killed, and they're like, okay, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, you'd probably like flinch at that, right? You'd be like, that's weird. What the fuck's up with that kid? That's a little
My
psychopath.
my when I was like 5 or 6
Mhm.
in our village, like where my parents are from, where my father's from, there's still like it's a small village in the small like in the mountains and
Mhm.
basically like very remote and middle in the Middle East. And basically like they have sheep, they have herds and goats and cows and everything. And yeah, I the first time I saw like uh animal being slaughtered was like when I was like 6, 6 or maybe 7, but I think like about around that age. And our parents like tried to shield us from it. They didn't want us to see, but me and my cousins we like wanted to watch and
Yeah,
just like
nosy
ran there.
kids.
And yeah, we were like curious. And yeah, of course, we were like after that we were sitting there all in silence. No one was like daring to say anything because like you don't want to be a pussy, but you also
You just saw a
are a
horror
little
movie
traumatized. Yeah, yeah, of course,
in
yeah,
real
yeah,
life.
yeah,
Yeah. It,
yeah.
that was
But
the real
that's
human reaction to that because you
yeah,
knew
but
this is terrible.
no, I don't think so.
In that
You would
moment when
you
you
would have the
seen it, you
you
knew
bro, you would have
until
the
you were
same reaction
told.
if you would see birth.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm sure you would.
Well, here's the thing.
If you would see a
Almost nobody sees birth
birth
before
or
being informed about the process. This is rare.
I mean it's really a mess, like, right? It can be
Although,
a
in
real
all
mess.
fairness, too, most people
And
would say that if it didn't necessitate, if life didn't require that to happen, we would be like, Nobody should ever do this. This is fucking terrible and wrong."
yeah, true, and I agree it's the same for animals, for animal slaughter.
But we don't have
Like
to do
it's
that. It's
yeah,
not
I think we have
necessary for
to.
life. How am I alive?
Even if we okay, I know actually like I think we have to, but that's not even my argument. Like there's certain like I don't really want to get into that argument because it's not even if I would concede your point, I would still be in that opinion, so it wouldn't change anything. Like
Sure. Oh, I
if we have
appreciate
to or
that.
not
Not
have
giving me
to,
red
yeah,
herring
yeah, yeah.
points. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so why would I argue with you? I guess I just want to know like why don't you feel the same way you feel about animals? Why don't you feel the same way about plants? Like
So
just
sure.
because
I
they're
don't
not
think
as
no, no,
similar to
no.
you, just because they don't have any blood, just because they don't have any eyes, just because they don't have any voice cords. Like,
So, I've never seen a plant run for its life. I don't think a plant experiences fear, pain, and trauma the same way animals do. I don't think that they have the same capacity for suffering. And if I have to eat something, I want
but
to do it. I want to consume the thing that is going to bring about the least amount of suffering. Like, do you have a dog? Have
but
you ever had a dog?
suffering, yeah, but suffering is not the criterion we can use because you would never accept to that it's okay to kill someone if they don't suffer, right? It's not about suffering, it's about life,
Well,
right?
wait, wait,
It's
wait,
about the
wait.
preciousness of life. Could we just
No, no, no,
kill
no.
animals without letting them suffer? Could
An
we do
animal,
that?
an animal that is incapable of experience suffering is something that doesn't register to me as an animal. I don't know what that would be. So, like for
And
example, I'd
no
probably be
problem, no animal, no problem.
I would probably consider it's okay to eat clams. As far as I can tell, clams have no ability to feel pain. They don't have sentience, as far as I can tell. It just seems they're pretty close to plants. Jellyfish too. Jellyfish are basically just plants that can move. They're
But
literally just
why?
vessels for chemical reactions. I wouldn't really care if somebody killed a jellyfish.
What's then the difference between a jellyfish and a completely drugged out cow?
And the complete what?
drugged out, like we give them lots of drugs so they don't feel any pain. A cow or a chicken.
Why? Okay, so this is the reason. For
Both not
one,
sentient, right?
yeah, yeah. We're when I say suffering, this predicates the idea that it is sentient. So
Yeah, so no
I
problem.
would say that I care about animals dying for the same reason that I care about people. I would say there's very little
Yeah, because
difference.
life, you think that life is precious, right? It's not
Mm,
about suffering. It's about life, like the preciousness of life.
well, so let me think. Well, I don't think about life as a precious thing per se, but I think about the experience that is being had is worth protecting the same way that um because even I don't care about just the death though. I guess that's the problem for me. It's not just the death that's the issue. It's the entire treatment, the entire
Okay,
all along the way. So
let's abstract from it.
yeah,
Let's just take the whole treatment because with the treatment, I agree with you. Like I think it's horrible the way we treat animals, yeah,
I do think
but
the
I still
killing is
think we should.
bad, but it's all of it. Every single bit of this is bad to me.
Okay, but on that point, we're in the same opinion. Like all the rest, let's get rid of it because there we're one opinion. Like in my opinion, like animal slaughter should be like the way we do it in the village in the mountains. Maybe a little bit better. There's a few points I would suggest there as well. But
Sure, and
yeah,
I'm not unreasonable. I'd say better is better. Like I think that if people eat meat, uh, for the benefit of the person, I would say I prefer people to hunt their own meat than to have it raised to be killed and eaten. But I would still prefer neither. So part of the thing that you get with hunting
why?
is that, sure, because I care about people too. And I think that the cognitive dissonance in going to the grocery store and getting some chopped up animal and just thinking of it as meat and then frying it up, you're holding two different ideas in your head that this is just food and that this used to be an animal, but this one is taking precedent, and cognitive dissonance causes mental illness. This is your
Oh
brain
yeah,
is
yeah.
not good at holding two contrary ideas. It causes problems in your ability to reason and logic, and it causes emotional problems too that are like way further down, like into your shadow. So I think that's a lot better for the person. I also think it's better for the animal because for the most part, they're living free, unburdened by the kinds of restrictions that animals that are farmed get have on them. I still don't like that you're killing them, but I'd
Why
rather have them be killed
why don't
then.
you like that was my why. Like why don't you like that we're killing them?
I would say for the exact same reason that I don't think that somebody should kill another human being for their own pleasure.
And why don't you feel that same way about plants?
Lance,
Yeah,
so why do we care about people? So I can explain it, but I want to make sure that we're on the same page here. Why do we care when a human being gets killed?
because it's a human being.
But that's not an explanation. You're just describing what it is.
Yeah, I just put an arbitrary fence around human beings.
Mm. See, when I know that a
That's
human being
what
is
I
killed,
do.
okay. When I understand that some human being is killed, there's other things that I care about. I care about the people that are left behind. I care about how that's going to
Yeah.
impact the people that are left
Hmm.
behind. I care about the life that could have continued. They could have continued to have.
No,
These are
I
the
mean
two
in
things that I
my
care about. For me, these are the
mhm.
these are the things that I care about. I care about the people that are left behind and how they're going to deal with it, and I care about the life that they could have lived that was essentially stolen from them. And I'd
Mhm.
say that it's wrong to steal from them. So I care about that for the
Mhm.
animal as well. One of the reasons why I
Okay.
stopped eating pigs first was because I found out that
Mhm.
pigs grieve the loss of their friends and family the same way like people do. And I thought I would hate the idea that somebody misses their best friend because I made an arbitrary choice of what I wanted to have for dinner. That really fucked me up. I was like, I can't do that. That's not worth it to me.
You would never put the life of an animal on the same level as the life of a human being.
Sure. If I have to pick between an animal and a person, it depends on the animal. For instance, I'll kill
Why?
somebody to protect my dog.
Really?
Oh, I love my dog. Yeah, if somebody
R-
kicked my dog and I had a gun, I'd probably shoot him.
No, no, sorry. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, that's normal. That's normal. But
Yeah,
would
that's
you,
my girl. You don't fuck with
if
her.
yeah, but if the question would be that somebody is going to die or your dog is going to die,
Yeah, because those two factors that I talked about. One of them is
you'd
because the
still,
life that
yeah.
person could have lived. For one, I would expect this person to have a much, much longer, more fulfilling experience that was getting cut short than the animals. And two, because of the ripple effect that their death would have onto other human beings. If I pick the animal, this is probably, in most instances, going to stop and end with the animal. And even if
What
it's like a pig and the other pigs are going to mourn its death, then I understand too, this is still going to be a significantly less lived pain experience for the people for the animals that are left behind than the humans that are going to be left behind when this person is killed.
First of
Grief,
all, you don't know
grief can
that.
last forever. Yeah, correct. Like anything else, I'm making assumptions based on available information.
Okay, but what if it's a homeless person that is like has no one to mourn him and is like probably gonna die in the next 10 years from an overdose or we
Then I would
just like
then then the thing that I would care about then is probably the ripple effect that it's going to have on I mean
no ripple
there's
effect.
so- so-
It's just gonna go.
huh?
There is not gonna be an I promise you that there is not gonna be any
So
ripple effect.
I would rather see a homeless person who had no friends or family, nobody that cared about them die than have
Mhm.
like Coco the gorilla die.
Really?
Yeah, the ripple effect of Coco the gorilla dying, if they're still alive, I don't know, would be much much greater. More pain and suffering will be caused by the death of Coco dying than this independent person who's not impacting the lives of
Mhm.
anybody else. Yeah, of course. Because and here's the problem too is that I'm a deontologist and you're forcing me into a situation where I have to take a utilitarian approach. So we're already in the realm of tragedy. When I have only bad choices available to me, then I have to become a utilitarian because I have no other metric by which to determine um, what to do.
Mhm.
For me, I
And
just do what is
for
right over what's wrong.
if you have the choice of killing a plant and a dog,
Yeah,
it's a no-brainer, right?
yeah.
For
There's no
you.
ripple effect here, as
No,
far as I can ascertain. There's not. I'm not cutting off any life in the same way that I would talk about life. The experience that the
but
plant is going to have is
the
not.
problem with yeah.
There's a quality of this experience, right? Like it's the same reason why if it's between like a dog or a uh, what's like a pretty or a fly, we're gonna pick the dog to live because the fly's experience is much less meaningful.
But you're just postponing the problem when you say utilitarianism because you're saying which one I'm asking you a moral question. Which one is better? Like which one's life is more valuable here? And you say your answer is the one, for example, where
Oh,
the
you're totally
mourning is bigger. And then we have to ask ourselves, okay, whose mourning is more valuable? And we land up with the same question again. Like which life is more valuable, right? Like is the pig mom and the pig dad more valuable than the
I
human
guess
dad and the human
I
mom?
guess I
You know what
don't.
I mean? Like it's the same question. You just postponed it.
No, I didn't post, but I thought I resolved it. So I'd say it's wrong to do either, but since you're making me do one or the other, I'm going to have to adopt a utilitarian lens here and say which is going to
Which is
cause more harm.
postponing.
What do you
Yeah,
mean?
but that's harm is already including the word bad, and we have to figure out what bad is
Right,
in the
right.
first
But
place.
I'm saying
That was the original question.
I am engaging in it though. And I'm saying I like the reason why I picked Coco is because
Yes.
more bad is going to be done to more people when Coco dies than this homeless person who has no ties to anybody. And so when
Yeah,
I
but
pick the
bad.
plant, more harm is going to be done to uh more harm is going to be done to a greater number of beings if I kill the dog over the plant.
We are asking, when we are asking for a moral choice, we're
Mhm.
asking for what's bad, right? For what's good and what's bad. Like, is
Ju-
it good to kill the animal, or is it good to choose the animal over the human or not? Or is it bad? Right? That's a moral question.
Oh yeah, and I say
And
they're
then
both bad.
no, but you say the one you have to choose the one that causes less bad. Like that's actually practically what you're
Yes.
saying.
Yeah, yeah,
And bad is again the same. That's what we're asking. We're
yeah,
asking what's bad.
yeah. And
And
I'm
you're saying
in each scenario, I'm giving
what's
you an
more bad.
answer. Yeah,
No, the answer is what's more the one that is more bad. That's your answer. But we
yeah.
still don't know
I think
what's
it's
bad
case
for
by
you.
case.
No, but
Just
what's bad for you? What does bad mean for you?
in this
Like if you
instance,
say, for example, the ripple effect of the mourning of the relatives, for example, then
yeah.
we have to compare again the mourning of the animal parents and the mourning of the human parents, and we still haven't answered the question
Oh,
which mourning is more
oh, I
important
did.
because the value between these two is not clear yet,
Sure. Oh, okay,
right?
sure. So I say that the mourning of the people is worse because because due to higher intelligence, there's going to be a greater capacity for mourning, and
All
because of
right.
longevity.
So so
Sorry, I
so
didn't know.
you could have just said that with the first
I
question. You
thought I
didn't have
did.
to say that about no. You don't have to what you're saying, the bigger value of the morning
Yeah,
due to higher intelligence. We
yeah.
could say the same thing about the value of the life, because at the end of the day, the suffering, you put a value, a price tag on the suffering,
Hmm.
which ultimately is a price tag on the life, right?
Well, only when being forced into a choice. But yes, because otherwise I'd say
Yeah, you
both are
are
off the
forced
table.
into a
Sure.
choice.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah.
you are forced into a
Sure.
choice. So we didn't even had to take the detour to the morning. We could have just said more intelligence, more valuable life, bigger price tag on the life.
But that's not always true because the homeless person dies over cocoa.
The homeless person dies over cocoa,
Yeah.
but since don't have the absolute, we don't have we have found out through this detour, we found out that you put a higher price tag, all things abstracted, you
Mhm.
put a higher price tag on the value of the life of an human being than to of an animal,
Generally
right?
speaking, yes.
Because of intelligence. That was your explanation. And then I have to say, this is
Sure,
also a
but I
bad
don't
route
like
that
that
you're
framing.
taking.
Ultimately,
Yeah,
yes,
but
but
that's what you said.
the framing is misleading.
But you said that. I didn't
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that.
I'm saying yes, but the frame that you're putting in is misleading to my reasoning.
Why?
It the intelligence only matters here because of the capacity for suffering, which is the thing that I
But
actually care
that's the way
about.
you feel, and that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's okay. I mean, but
Sure.
it's a bad
But
route to take because it doesn't work when you apply it within the human species. Then we run into problems, right?
no.
Because when we say now the life of a dumber person is less valuable than the life of an intelligent person, I
If
don't think so.
so, which one do you kill then? If you have somebody who has 70 IQ and somebody who has 190 IQ and you have to pick one of them to die, which one do you pick to die?
I don't.
Assuming everything is even. But you made me pick in the hypothetical. Now I'm asking you to pick.
I'm not, I'm not.
I'm saying both are off the table already, and then I engage with it in the instance that this is a tragedy. If I don't pick, they both die. This is what I'm
Yeah, they
assuming in your
both
hypothetical.
die.
Oh, okay,
Then they both die.
okay. So then, why
No,
wouldn't you kill one? That's
no,
interesting.
no, no, no. It's just like for me, it's just like saying you could have said I don't want to decide. Like I could just flip a coin or something like that. But the problem with the animal and the human example is you would want to choose. Like
I don't. That's why I said it's a
okay, you don't.
tragedy.
So you would literally
I
like
said I'm
no.
being forced to do something that I think is wrong, and I never want to do this. I even said
Oh,
under any other
I'm sorry.
circumstance, they're both off the table.
I thought off the table meant they don't die.
No, no, no. I meant it's not really something that I would ever entertain unless being forced to. Because
No, but I mean,
I'm a
for
day
example,
ontologist. Killing for me,
yeah,
killing a human or killing an animal is wrong always. So you're making me pick between
yeah,
two wrong things. So I would say that
exactly.
I would
So
just say no. I don't pull the
you
lever
have
in
the
the trolley problem.
you have the choice between an animal and a human being. All things abstracted. Like, let's just say between a plant and a dog,
Yeah, I pick the plant.
you'd always pick the plant, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Why is that okay? And why can't I do the same thing with animals?
Um,
If I have to pick between, and why do we have so much difficulty doing
because I
it
don't think that
with
you have to pick
human to
between humans
animal?
and animals. And
You don't have to, but it's a hypothetical.
sure, I'm saying this is the difference. When it's either plants or animals, I do ultimately have to pick because I have to eat something. But with humans and animals, I don't have to pick because there's never a situation where I would have to make that choice.
But there is objectively no differentiating factor between plant and animal that you can point to in order to justify killing one and not killing the other.
Oh, sure I can. Sentience, the
What?
capacity for suffering.
The capacity, sentience is a little bit difficult one because I don't really know what it means. What does it mean to be able to feel?
To have an awareness.
What does it mean?
To have an awareness? It's a
Yeah.
qualia. It's not something
How
that
do I
you
know that how do I know that you have an awareness? That
I
you're
would
not just
so
a chatbot.
sh- sure, but in the same way that we don't kill other people because we assume their awareness, I would say that that's the same reason why I don't kill animals
No,
because they
that's
be
not why I don't kill people.
so I assume that people have an awareness like I do because of how I see them behave. If they behaved in a way that was so alien from me, or they had lacked behavior at all, which is really the key thing here. If they lacked all behavior, I would assume that they didn't have any sentience, and that's just something that looks like a human and isn't actually
And
the
then
same
you would
thing as
kill
me.
them. Then you
Uh,
could kill them morally.
Probably.
Then you would think, really?
I mean,
I don't believe
I
you.
would probably think I might think that it's like a zombie or something at that point. You know, it would be
I
something.
think you would still, even if it would be a zombie, you would, as long as it didn't attack you, you wouldn't kill it.
Uh, I probably would kill a zombie, preemptively.
You wouldn't, like, no,
You
not
have
if
to.
it's not attacking you. No, no, you're like, what's wrong with the guy? Maybe he needs something. Maybe he's drunk.
No, no. Well,
But
if they're behaving, if they're exhibiting behavior, like I said, if they're lacking any behavior,
would you kill a comatose person? Are you allowed to kill morally justified and allowed to kill a comatose person? Legality
um,
to the side. Would you be okay with somebody going into the hospital and smashing the guy that is in a coma, smashing his head with a baseball bat? Would you be okay with that?
uh, there is the information I'm given is that they're never coming out of it.
You just said sentience, right? You didn't said that they can never go out, but it can also be, yeah, could be, yeah.
Okay,
Would you be okay
if
with
that's the
that?
case, yeah, I don't give a shit. That's not a that's just garbage that's being delayed, getting taken out. It's just a corpse that's still warm as far as I'm concerned. The only thing that I care about in relation to the comatose person
You
is
would,
the people that are attached to it. I basically think of it as the family's property at that point, rather than a person.
sorry, I forgot. Yeah. Uh, then the same goes for a drugged out person. Would you
Why?
be okay with somebody being drugged for the rest of his life and then just kill him?
No, I would say that it's wrong to put them into that state to begin with,
What if he already is in that state?
and will permanently
Then
be in
you
that
would also,
state.
like, he just doesn't feel anything. Oh wait, sorry, we could just do the same thing with the animal.
Yeah, I would say that it's wrong to induce that state, though. When somebody's in a coma, I'm assuming they didn't choose this happening to them just by, life happening. They ended up in a coma. There's not like a thing that was approved to put them there. I would say if you're going to induce somebody into a coma just for the sake of doing it, I would say you're not allowed to do that. That's just
Why
as
are
much
you
as
allowed
stealing.
to?
That's just as much stealing
Why
their
are you
life as
allowed
killing
to?
them.
First of all, okay, you're ready to do a lot of things. Okay. Uh,
Oh yeah, I'll bite some bullets. I've
yeah,
definitely thought
I
this
see
through.
that. I see that. No, 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 no. Wait. You first of all, you never know what sentience is, so you cannot, like, it's the same as with
I know what I
consciousness.
think it
I don't
is.
know if you. Yeah, but I don't know if you have any pain, real pain, or if it's just
Sure,
if you're just
but
simulating.
I
Like I have
assume
no
it.
idea to.
Sure, but this
Yeah,
is
you
how I
assume it.
operate.
You okay?
And it's the same way that you
You
do too. You're pretty confident despite not knowing, and you behave as though you know. Me too.
you think that a plant has no sentience, right? That there is no feelings.
Yeah, just like a rock.
It's just like a rock.
Yeah,
Why does
in
it
terms of
move?
sentience,
Have you ever seen like a time lapse of a plant being touched?
sure. But I've also seen vehicles move too. I don't think they're sentient.
Wait, what? You don't think that the plant? What does it mean that if you touch the plant and the plant moves away from the touch, what does it mean?
Means there
That
was a
means
chemical
that the
reaction,
plant. Yeah,
not
but
a.
that's feeling. That's also a chemical reaction if you're being touched.
So,
That's the same thing.
as far as I am concerned, my understanding of sentience is concerned, is that it relies on some kind of neurosynaptic responses to stimuli, not simply chemical reactions. I can mix chemicals together and see a movement and a reaction happen, just like I can see it happen in plants. I have no reason to think that there's any intentionality of the plant, rather that there is simply a cause and effect. There is no there is no awareness of this chemical reaction. It just simply occurs. But
Do you
for
know that there?
sentient beings, there is an awareness of these chemical reactions. Deterministic or not, there's an awareness of it. And that awareness um, is valued because I like, just like I value my own.
I don't think that what you're saying is scientific because it is not disprovable what you're saying. Because
It is
like
just as non, yeah, correct. It is
no,
not
it's not
falsifiable that
provable.
plants have
It's not
sentience.
falsifiable. It's not falsifiable. Your thesis is impossible to falsify
Cor-
because all statements about consciousness and sentience is this is all metaphysics. It's not physics. Like
Sure.
every time I could say this all of the things that you said about plants I could say about you. I could just doubt that you have that. I could
You
just say, yeah,
you
that's
could,
just a
but you
chemical
don't.
reaction. I don't because
I
I
think plants
have
aren't alive
decided
for the same reason you think plants aren't alive.
you think plants aren't.
Or
No, I
sorry,
think
sentient,
that plants
sentient.
are
Sorry, I
alive.
meant sentient.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I think they're not sentient for the
I
same
also
reason that
think
you
that
think
plants
they're
are.
not.
No, I think plants are as sentient as you
There's no way you think that.
and me. No, I do. It's like when you mean when we have to maybe agree on what sentient means, but I think there is no life without feeling. Like life is feeling. If there is no feeling, there is no life. That's there is no way to interact and have any form of living activity without having a form of sense of
Why?
the world. Because then we would not consider it alive.
I think the thing that we look at when we talk about life is there a biological component to this? That's it. I think we look
Yeah,
at
and
biological growth as the only metric, which does
yeah,
not necessarily have to be sentience.
growth is like interaction with the world, right? So when plants are, for example, communicating with each other, or they're like digging themselves into the ground, they're following the sun, right? Like when you have a sunflower, it's following the path of the sun. That's like that's why how we see that it's alive. It's like doing stuff. And in order to do that stuff, it needs to see, not see in the way that we see, but it has to have a feeling of the surrounding, and
What
that's
makes a robot
sentient.
not
That's
alive? So, would a fully mechanical robot be alive then? It fits all your
yeah,
criteria.
in some way, in some way it is like in some way you have the interaction. Like we would consider the robot alive the moment where it's starting to move and interact with the
Yeah, sure. Let's say we
we
have a
would call it
fully
sentient
autonomous
as well.
robot. Everything is predicated on sensors and all that. But it doesn't doesn't speak. It doesn't have any independent assessment of anything. It's purely mechanical. Would it bother
Mhm.
you at all if it was harmed? In the same way that we would call something else being harmed, like a human being harmed?
But you are putting the
No, no,
sentience
I know.
argument.
I'm trying to measure where you're at, though.
No, but sentience is not something that is bothering me for
Oh,
harming. I
sorry,
know that animals
sorry.
are sentient,
Do you think that do you
and
think
I'm
the
okay
robot's
with
sentient?
killing them.
I keep
Yeah.
accidentally saying alive when I mean sentient. Do you think that robot's sentient?
I think, yeah, from our yeah, I think that the only yes, of course, yeah, it's sentient because it has a grasp for its surrounding. Yeah, I
Say
mean, sentient
there's no
just
computer
means
in it.
sentient.
It's purely mechanical. No computer. Nothing digital. It's all gears. It's all gears and like
There is no computation.
no. So like if when it
What does
detects
it do
things,
then?
it has little it
How does
has
it detect things?
so it has super sensitive solar panels so that it can detect when it's getting close to things and the solar panel will move in response to the light to engage movement. You got big battery, you got gears, pulley systems, all that, and it's all just based on spatial awareness from super sensitive solar panels that sort of like pseudo visually map out its surroundings based on how much light is being applied to the solar panels at any given point.
Okay, wait, I will answer to that, but why is it important for our point?
Because I want to know if you would consider this to be sentient. Because to me, this would be just as sentient as a plant is.
Sentient to me feels to me is interaction, is able to interact with the world, has a direct connection to the world.
Um, so a connection meaning it's two-way.
It could no, it's one way.
Oh, okay. Um, hmm. Interesting. So
So there's
maybe I could
able to
reduce
take
this.
input.
Maybe I'll reduce this then to the thing that when I say sentience, obviously it's a stand-in here. I care about the ability to whether it does or not, I guess. But the ability to produce. When I say awareness, there has to be thought to predicate awareness. So
So now
can
you
it have
switch.
a
Okay,
thought?
so,
Yeah,
okay, so now it's awareness, right?
I'm trying to
Okay.
clarify my words because when I say
Okay.
awareness, to me the thinking predicates that. Um, because I would say that something that can't have a thought probably isn't sentient. Because how can you have awareness if you can't think? Yeah, you would have to be able to have a thought. Somebody who's in a coma, they can't have any more thoughts.
To me, it's like really, really obvious. Like when you look at the way the plant is reacting to its surrounding,
Yeah,
like it has a feeling, like it has a knowledge of what is good for it and bad for it. It's like that's what pain is. Like that's the whole deal with pain. Like knowing what in the surrounding is harmful and what is good for you. That's like
in awareness
that's it.
of that, yeah, but in awareness of that, like
We
if
don't even know what
okay,
that
sure.
means.
So to be able to have a thought about the pain changes whether or not pain matters.
Thought about the pain. That's
Yeah,
a
that's what I would call the
problem.
suffering. That's why we
There
care
is
about
no thought
suffering.
about the.
What happens when somebody stabs you? And that pain is happening. You are having thoughts about that pain. You are processing that pain via your sentience through thoughts. This is the mechanism, right?
No, it's just nerves.
Mm, why do you think it is that some people can endure great amounts of pain without being phased by it? Because they've trained their mind to not acknowledge it.
Not everybody can feel the same amount of pain. There's always going to be
But people can
deviances.
train themselves to not acknowledge pain, yeah?
Yeah, true.
Which
But
would
it's
probably
yeah.
be one of the most difficult things that somebody could do because pain is such a thought devouring process, yeah? And I know this for myself too because after my ADHD got treated, I don't experience reduced back pain, but I'm not focused on it as much, and therefore I'm not as miserable because of it. To
You
think about
are,
the pain is what experiencing pain is.
but you are talking about something that is metaphysical, like awareness, consciousness. That's not something you
That's
will
why I
ever
brought it to
find.
physical. We know thoughts are real, yeah.
You, you, you.
They
No,
must
no.
be.
The thought is no neurons firing. That's real. Like that's. I'm not saying thoughts are not real. I'm just saying that's physical. That's empirical, right? So you can have take your magnifying glass and you can find the neuron firing. Okay,
Get rid of the
but you can't see
science.
the thought.
You and I
You
both
will
believe
never
in
see the
thoughts,
thought.
so but you can
Yeah,
argue
but I don't
against.
believe that. But I don't believe I'm gonna ever find it in physics.
But we don't care about that. You believe in it and you
Yes,
treat it like it's real unless you're in a
yes.
conversation about it and it doesn't and if you're in a conversation about it, then you can try to
No, I'm
dismiss
not
it,
saying it's
but
not
every day
real.
when you're living your life, you're going to treat it like it's real. Well, I'm saying it's
I
real.
don't
You're
dismiss
saying
it.
it's real. Why are you trying to take it
But
away now?
you are saying that you are not believing that plants have thoughts
No.
because you don't have any empirical evidence for it.
No,
And I'm
I didn't
saying
even say
that you can't
empirical
find
evidence.
something.
No, I'm saying I have no
No, you
reason at
said
all to
there is
believe
no.
it. I don't have
That's
a
why I'm saying it's
feeling
not
or
falsifiable. That's why I'm saying what you're saying is unscientific because it's not falsifiable what you're saying. And I'm trying to tell you, you can only arrive there by reason and logic if
yeah.
you are within these categories. But you're saying, yeah, we see it in animals, but we
Yeah.
don't see it in plants. So you say you have a physical reason, empiric reason for seeing it in animals, but you don't have an empiric reason to see it in plants.
So
That's your thesis.
I'm saying that the same reason that I value the suffering and exploitation of animals is the exact same reason why you value that in humans. Because I value it in humans too. I know I'm doing the same thing with animals as I am with humans. It doesn't mean I consider them equal, but I am still
I
considering
know,
their treatment in the from the same mechanism which I evaluate a human's suffering and care about it is the same
I
thing that I'm
know,
doing with animals. And I don't
I
extend it to
know, but
plants
why not?
for the same reason you don't.
What does that mean? So you think I'm justified in not doing it to plants? It's again the same question. You think I'm justified in not doing it to plants, but you don't think I'm justified doing it to animals.
Wait,
So
wait, wait,
again, you have
wait,
to
wait, wait.
answer the question.
Hang
It's
on.
just a negation
Wait,
of the
wait.
same question.
You're moving around my point here, and what I'm saying is, do you think it's okay to do you think that um, chopping down an ear of corn and eating it is the same as slaughtering an animal and eating it? Do you think that?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
I don't think to be honest, it's like this. It's really easy for me. The closer it gets to human, the worse it is. That's the way I feel. That's the way it is for me. So
I care
a
a lot less
chimp,
about
a ch-
insects than I do about like mammals, for instance.
yeah, why?
Why?
Because
Uh,
it's closer. Because the mammal is just closer to you. It's just more like you. It's more similar to you. You have the
because
same. We
because of
have the
my
exact
ability,
same.
because my understanding and my ability to conceive the suffering that that organism would endure. I understand that I have limitations, so it's entirely possible that
See,
plants do have these
doing it again.
experiences. What? I'm
Doing it
granting
again.
you this.
No, you're doing it again. You again saying you have empirical evidence for something metaphysical, which is again the consciousness. Because you're saying suffering, but what you actually mean is consciousness.
Sure, but consciousness is also metaphysical.
That's what I'm saying. Consciousness is metaphysical, but and you're justifying you making a difference between the species by an empirical observation.
If I don't axiomatically believe in consciousness, then there's no reason not to kill another person.
If you don't believe in consciousness, there is no reason to kill another person,
Not to kill another person.
not to kill another person. Yeah, still doesn't explain why
Well, I'm saying I do
you would make the
axiomatically believe.
difference.
I axiomatically
Yeah, but
believe
it still wouldn't
consciousness
make wouldn't explain to us why you would grant the consciousness to the animal but not to the plant. I
because
see that. That's
it
what you're saying. Yeah,
it matches the thing that I'm looking for in people.
empirically, right?
No, it's just my own observations,
How?
how I'm
How?
processing it with my
What's
feelings
an
and thoughts.
what is an observation? An observation is if
Well,
empirical data.
it's really tough when you're putting it in this framing. So like if my ability to perceive my own observations is predicated on my consciousness, which isn't empirical, then how can any observation be empirical? I'm trying to work within the
Every observation is empirical.
okay, sure. Then in that case, I have observed plants never once showing any signs of consciousness.
You can't see consciousness.
I can see evidence
You
of
can
it.
only see the same way you can't see thought.
Correct, but I can see
You can
evidence
see
of it.
neurons. Yeah, you can see neurons, but you can't see thought,
I don't need
right?
to before we discovered the neuron, you could take me back in time, wipe my memory of there ever being anything called a neuron, and I would still be using the same mechanism that I use today to determine whether or not something is conscious. I wouldn't just go, oh, because I know that this dog has neurons, it must be conscious. That's not the metric which I
Yeah, of
use.
course. The neurons are the same thing as sounds that come out of your mouth. It's the
Right.
same. It's
I can
both
see evidence
empirical data.
of this. When I hit a
Yes,
person, they cower. When I hit a dog or a pig, it cowers. When I hit a tree, it does nothing. When I cut my grass, it does nothing like this. It does not respond to stimuli in the same way that things that I would label as conscious does. A
but
tree
it's just because
reacts
it's not
very
as
similarly to a rock than it does to anything else that I label as conscious, right?
it's the same
It's
way, the same the same rule applies there. Everything that is closer to human in its behavior, in its empirical behavior, you give it the quality of consciousness. The more human it is, if the tree would have eyes and started crying and saying, "Please, elder, don't kill me," you would not say
if
that. It's just because
it had given me any evidence,
it's not like you.
if every time somebody went up to a tree, one of the branches smacked it away, I would be like, probably shouldn't fuck with this tree, not for our own safety, but like, it seems like something's happening here. Um,
Do you
this is
think your
making me feel like it's
feelings would
conscious.
change? I don't believe your feelings would change at all if we would find out that that plants are, for example, have a nervous system. I don't think your feelings would change about it.
If I found out that they had well, so oysters have nervous systems to some degree, but they don't have. There's no like brain. They have a very rudimentary nervous system. There's no brain. It has no ability to have like thought. It can't acknowledge pain or anything like that. So I don't care if I would consider like oysters to be vegan
Because because of what?
because it does not have the hardware that I understand consciousness arises from. It lacks that hardware.
You think hard? You think
Yeah, from every
consciousness is limited to a certain type of hardware, right?
yeah, I think that there's a certain type of biology that consciousness emerges from. At least this is as good of a guess as we have, and it seems to line up with all the signifiers for consciousness. Like obviously, I can't tell if somebody's walking around with no brain in their head. They're being controlled by like I don't know some invisible puppet master.
Nothing.
But this is the metric which I
Mhm.
would always use in every instance. And oysters don't have that. They don't respond
I
the
think
same
nothing
way.
would change in your feelings about this if
If I found out that plants had
all
a
of the
fully conscious experience and they were suffering,
yes,
like, oh, I would
yes,
have an existential crisis. Are you kidding me?
maybe, but you would just continue to feel the same way about killing one and killing the other.
No, I might stop being vegan if that's the case. I might think that it's all pointless at that point. I would have to reevaluate everything at that point. I would
No, I
be
mean
wrecked.
when you would see a tree being chopped off, and you would see compare it with seeing a goat being having its throat sliced up, you would feel the same. You would feel the same way. It wouldn't change anything for
It would
you.
change. Yeah, I would. I would have to reevaluate my entire worldview. I would be really fucked up about it. I would feel betrayed by the universe, by my own senses, by my ability to perceive and understand the world around me. I would. It would be a really big deal for me.
Why is it so? Would it surprise you?
Oh yeah, because
Really?
I'm extremely confident that the quality in humans and animals that I care about does not exist within plants. Even if I have a
What
hard
would
time
you have to?
explaining it, I'm
What
very
would you?
confident about what it is.
Since you derive like consciousness from empirical data, what would be the what empirical data would you have to see in order to accept consciousness of plants?
Um,
Communication, for example.
language.
Yeah, communication. Yeah.
Well, in order for it to be compelling, I would say because not life doesn't require language, but in order for something as abstract as a plant with nothing that is already like invalidated its capacity for a conscious experience by lacking the one thing that my understanding necessitates it, I would need some like extraordinary evidence to suggest that there's something that can surpass that. So like if like the chemical releases were able from plants were able to be broken down into like a codex and then decoded, and there would be like and we could use that to have like a conversation back and forth with a plant, that would traumatize me.
No, but you don't have a conversation back and forth with animals
Cool.
either.
That would be
Like
what would justify a language.
most animals
Correct.
not have.
What I'm saying is that I don't require that for animals because I'm already able to skip a lot of these things because they do have the hardware. They do exhibit other signs that I immediately understand to be a conscious sentient being. Like they already pre-qualified through all these other things, and since a plant can't walk around and like move based on its will and all that, then it has no way of expressing its will to me to show me that like there's thoughts in there, that there's an experience being had. I would need something. The bar would have to be quite high to convince me that there's something happening that's essentially invisible to any of my other abilities to observe. And I would have to say language. If we could break down that there's a language in proven by having communication. I mean, and the communication could simply be like we released the chemicals like based on the codex that they broke down, and then it gave us a response by releasing the chemicals in a sequence that we could break down to determine that there's a language here. So yeah, the bar would be
So
pretty
you,
high because it defies any other way that would work for every other thing that we would say is conscious.
but don't you see that all of this is just a proxy for saying more like me? Like you just like there is no, we don't have any evidence
Mm.
that consciousness is something that is only possible on a particular set of hardware. Like we don't have any evidence for that because
if an
we can't
evil
have any
if
evidence
it,
for
it
that.
if an evil wizard came up to my house and turned my child into a tree, I would still protect that tree because I knew that there was consciousness that my kid did have, and I have no idea what is happening now, but because I understand that there is, despite the fact that what I just saw defies everything I understand is possible, um, I know that where my kid was and that tree now is, there was a conscious experience happening. In order to preserve what might be there, I would still protect it differently than I would any other tree, right? And I think that you would probably feel compelled to do the same, right?
Yeah, but I don't see how that's
It's because there's this
relevant.
conscious
And
experience that we care about. Because you already don't care about
I'm not
trees.
sure. No, I don't. I'm not sure if I know what you mean. Like there is no. We don't have any evidence that consciousness and like that brains are a necessity for having consciousness. There is no
Correct.
evidence for that,
Correct.
right?
However,
So how can you say that that the more they have the hardware for it. Like we don't have the connection between hardware and consciousness.
We we have correlation, which is something that we don't have with plants.
You just have one correlation, one
Yeah,
case.
everything that
And
we
that's yourself. That is yourself. There's not more than one case. There's just one case
no,
where you
we
really have consciousness, where you know that there is consciousness.
sure. Well, no, not even there. Because I mean, if we want to spin it that far down, I don't know that I'm real. I could be the product of a thought of something else. All that we can truly say for sure, objectively, is that something somewhere is thinking. A thought is being
You
had.
know, yeah, you. That's you. That's you.
No, it might not be me though. It could just
No,
be
that's
another.
you.
It is possible that what I'm
Maybe it
experiencing is the
doesn't
thought
look
of
like
something
you.
else.
No, maybe it doesn't look like you, but it's you.
Sure. If what you're saying is that the thing that is thinking, creating this idea of me, thinking that it's me, would just
That's
revert
you.
back to that original source and I could call that me, okay. But the me that I think that I am might not be this, right?
Yes, it might not be like this.
Yeah, I could be something else having a dream. My experience of being
Yes,
me could be a product of a dream that
but
whatever I truly am is having.
yeah. So
Sure.
but you know, and you know for sure that you have a consciousness, right? So because you think that.
Yeah, yeah, and but
So
even though
so you know of
it's
the existence of one consciousness, and that's yours. And
yep.
there you have a correlation with the brain. And otherwise, we don't know if consciousness is not something that is could be on every type of hardware, including computers. That could be some kind of consciousness,
Hang on.
including plants, including animals. So
It's only when we have conversations like this that this is ever even contended though. So this is the problem is that every day when you and I interact in our daily lives, we one as much as you can possibly believe anything, we believe that other people are having a conscious experience. We believe that other people are real, that when I'm talking to you and you're talking to me, that there's something happening here because we're both conscious beings exchanging information with each other. We behave our entire lives as though this is true. But when I want
that's
to
not
apply it,
that
you
that's
don't?
not
I
true.
do. I do.
No, wait. I do now. I do now.
Yeah.
I do no. Actually, I'm not sure, but there is compelling. There is so many people that believe in simulation theory. There is so many people that believe in determinism. Like
People that
there's
believe in simulation
so many.
theory don't act like there's no consequences though. They still treat
Yeah,
everything the
because it doesn't
same.
change anything. It could be
Correct.
all these. Yeah, it doesn't change anything. But we don't. Not everybody thinks the same way about consciousness as you are suggesting. We do. We don't all force. Like it's not something that we have to think. We don't have to think that. I don't have to think that you're conscious
We take it
in
for
order
granted
for
that
me to
it's
talk
true,
about that you have
right?
consciousness. You could be a simulation,
Right, but I take for
and
granted that I'm not.
I would still get the same thing out of it. Like I would still have fun talking to with you.
Yeah, whether or not I'm a simulation is the same question to me as to whether or not there is a God. It's just as irrelevant. It changes
Yeah,
nothing.
exactly. So there is no we don't have any evidence that consciousness only happens on a certain set of hardware. And we don't have any evidence for saying that that certain type of behavior is evidence for consciousness. So
But
your argument that because you have evidence
no,
for
I have
animals
correlatory
having
information.
consciousness, no,
Why
you
do I think
say
that you're conscious is because it's not just because you look like me. It's because you behave in a way that makes sense. So like my idea of consciousness is not just my own experience. My idea of what consciousness is my own experience in contrast with how I see other people acting as well, right? I have like an amalgamation of what a conscious experience is my own experience and seeing how other people engage with their conscious experience. This is how I make up my
you
ideas of what it
don't
is.
know that other people have a conscious experience. You don't have a verified case
But
of conscious
my
experience. You
idea
just
of
have
what it
one.
is, my idea of what consciousness is not predicated only on mine. It is predicated on the assumption that other people are having it too and what that is reported to me to be like. And it's sort of
You
a
don't
mix of
need
these
that.
two things. But
Why do you
that's
need
how
this
it happens.
assumption?
It's not about need,
No,
it's about
why?
how it
Why?
works.
No, why? Why does it work that way? I don't think so. You could be in a
I do think
simulation and you would
so.
still do the same thing.
Yeah, correct.
So
Because
why do
their
you need
simulated conscious experience would still be the same thing that I'm talking about. It would still be just as simulated as mine is, and they would still be equal, and still be just as taken
no,
for
in a
granted.
simulation yours would be real, the rest would not be
Wait,
real.
why would mine be real in a simulation? I could just be
Because that's
programmed.
the definition of a simulation.
No,
That's
no,
the
no.
definition of a simulation.
The simu
Yes?
no, the simulation is all of it, including myself, is just a
No.
software. Yes.
No,
Simulation
not
theory doesn't mean that I'm
maybe
the
your
only thing that's
body.
real.
Yes, it means exactly that.
No, 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 no. No,
Want
no.
to bet?
The simulation theory is that it's all program on a big computer, including me.
Yes. Or whatever. It doesn't have to be
How,
including maybe your body, but not you.
each character in this video game of the simulation thinks they're real, just like I do.
No, except you. Like it could be like this. Could be like this. Either it is we're all in a simulation, we're like multiplayer or
Mhm.
single player. That's the only two options.
There's
There
no
is no
players.
zero player.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
there is no zero player simulation.
Yeah, have you ever played a football game and then you can just like skip the games that you're not playing? They'll just play each other, they'll just play it out and you can watch it play if
Yeah,
you
we
want to.
wouldn't. Yeah, that's a video.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're all that in
That's a live
simulation
rendered
theory.
video. That's not a simulation. We would never call that a simulation.
Well,
That's a video.
it when you watch it, it literally calls it like, do you want to simulate the game, or you can just skip it and get the
Yeah,
results.
that's a misuse of the word. Then it's not the correct use of the word.
Yeah, I would say in simulation theory, I'm just as not real as you are.
Wait, we have to get back on track. You
Yeah,
cannot say that you have evidence for consciousness if we don't have any way of relating consciousness to a certain type of observation. It's not
sure.
like we don't have a
Yes,
correlation. No,
yes.
it's no, we don't. We don't. Because with correlation, you know what it is? It's like, oh, thing X happens. I can prove that thing X happened.
Yeah,
And the second thing happened too. Oh, that one I can prove as well. So there is a correlation. It
yeah.
happened
It
simultaneously.
seems like these things happen
But
in relation to each
in this
other.
case, you only can prove one. You can prove the existence of a brain, for example.
Hmm.
But where is the consciousness? Where did you prove that it existed? You didn't.
Sure, but we take
So
for
where is the
granted.
correlation between the two?
Hang on. What I'm saying is that just like I can't know that anybody but me is having a conscious experience, I assume it. And for the same reason that I assume that, I assume it about animals. And that reason does not end up transferring
And
onto
why not about
plants
plants? Why
because
not?
the metric in which I use to gauge whether or not someone is having a conscious experience, the way that I'm able to tell that this person in front of me is a conscious being and not a
But you can
corpse,
never tell. You can
this
never tell. No, you can tell. That's not consciousness.
I bet you with a pretty high degree of certainty, I can tell when I'm looking at a person or a body without any decay.
Yeah, you can say the same. You can tell the same about a living plant and a dead plant.
Okay, shh, that's not. So you agree with that, right? This is
You can see
the
if
way in
there's
which
energy. Yeah, you can see energy. You can see energy being there and energy not being there.
I would
Yes.
say that there are features that I can identify within a person to tell whether they're having a conscious experience or they're not. Just like I can tell if a person is awake or asleep or dead. I can differentiate between all these split second, very easy for me to identify, right? And when it gets a little bit trickier, I can do really simple tests that'll give me the answer, right?
Not right, because you
Oh,
could be wrong. It's not a proven thing. Like not like it's not like consciousness is not something measurable.
right. But it's something that I have never been incorrect about.
You don't know that.
Just as much as I can
Like
know
how would you
anything
measure
else.
that? How would you can measure a lot of things. Like you could say I know how cold it is and then you could measure it, right?
Right. And here's the thing. There are things that to me, I know them that are impossible for anybody to ever know. But I treat it the same as though I have hard, concrete fact, just like everybody else does.
I
We all
see,
do
but
this.
my problem with your assumption about consciousness in
Yeah.
animals or consciousness in plants is that you can arrive to a, a, a truth in that matter, not by physical evidence, empirical evidence, because it's a metaphysical object. You cannot derive it from physical observations.
I would say
That's my
that
problem.
the
Like,
vast majority of things that we know are based on this thing where we have a sufficient enough reasoning, although not provable by any empirical means, we suppose that it is true. And we treat it as though it is true. We treat it with the same value that we treat things that are empirically true. And it is by this process which I ascertain the consciousness of humans and animals. And when I apply the same process to plants, I do not arrive at the same conclusion. This is why I personally don't value plants the same way that I value animals and people. And I think it's the same reason why
yes,
everybody else does as well.
and the process you're using is basically just how similar is something to me, to humans. Like that's the only process you're using when you're making all of your assessments about how conscious something is, how sentient something is. It's always just how human is it. That's the only thing you're valuing. Like you're looking at, is it crying?
If that's
Is
how
it
you're
like
going to look at it,
screaming?
if that's how you're looking at it, then you can't even say how human. You're just saying how me. Can I
What?
empathize with it?
Yeah, yeah, but at the end of the day, we're so similar in the things that you're looking for. We can extend it to the whole
See,
human species, and we
see,
already
this is the thing. You care
yeah.
about certain things there that I don't. Then I don't care nearly as
Why?
much about. I don't care. I don't care about this idea of human or not. I care about the experiences that I'm guessing at when I'm observing another being. So like we said earlier, I don't value humans the same way that I value a person, but sometimes I value animals more. Most people do.
Wait, what?
If
You say that again because you said I don't value humans as much as I value a person.
Yeah, so when it comes to life, generally speaking, I'm gonna favor the human's life over the animal's life, but we don't always value their experiences the same. For instance, if I walk up and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going, buddy?" and I punch you on the arm, you're like, "Fuck!" Like I hit you too hard. You might be pretty upset, and if somebody's seen it, be like, you shouldn't have hit him that hard. But if somebody walked up to a dog and they hit him the same way that you would punch a human a little too hard, like, what the fuck? That's fucked up. You've done a wrong, bad thing now. Most people have that kind of reaction, like, because it doesn't even understand why you did that. And we care that it doesn't understand that you did that. That's why we would call that animal abuse. We wouldn't say that I abused you. It just might be that I put more pepper behind my aggressive gesture when seeing you, right? In this case, we're going to elevate the animal's experience of that same interaction higher.
Wait, why is you just said that that's what I wanted to comment like from the beginning. How you said now that the life of an animal is less valuable than the life of a human being, right?
If you, like I said, if it's gun to my head and I have to pick one or they both die, most of the time I pick the person to live. Most of the time,
Yeah, but
we've already
so
established that.
generally, so
But all
all things
experiences,
equal,
yeah, but there's some
then
experiences that an animal would
why?
have the same as a person that almost universally we would value the animal's negative experience over the humans. Like example of if I punch you in the arm like a little too hard and you're like, "Ow, what the fuck?" Uh, I can get away with that
You
with
would
like a
value the animal's negative experience over the humans?
yeah. So yeah, in my scenario,
No, we wouldn't.
if I hit you a little too hard when I see you, like, "Hey, what's up?" and you're like, "Oh, what the fuck?" I can get away with by saying like, "My bad, dude. I didn't mean to do that." And like somebody who sees that isn't probably gonna freak out. But if you walk into a room and you hit a
Yeah, but
dog,
strongly depends on the culture. Like that strongly depends on in which culture we're talking
I,
about. Like maybe in our Western culture with dogs that are living at home and stuff like that, yeah, maybe, but not in like a more rural area. And like 99% of the world wouldn't be like this. But what's so interesting is that you're saying that
I would find it
you're
abhorrent.
already making a value. Come again?
I would find it abhorrent if somebody just socked a dog.
Yeah, I mean, me too, but we were socialized in a different way, you know? But you already established that how can you defend if consciousness is then you are saying the dog is less conscious, like if you have the value difference between the life of a dog and a human,
I
then
don't
you're
say
already
less
saying
conscious.
okay, but you have to put a criteria. It all comes back to more human.
No, because I picked Coco over the homeless guy.
Yeah, but because you need to have so many other things on the balance, you know, like in order to change that. It's just like
Right,
abortion, you
because
know,
because
like
you're
it's
forcing
the
me into a
same.
utilitarian position because everything is a bad option.
You should never take the utilitarianism
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
mean
a it's a it's
anything.
a it's
Like
a tragedy. Yeah, it's something that should never happen. But if I have to pick something bad, this is something that I never ever want to do. So I can only then enter utilitarian perspective because I have no other way of which measuring what to do. Right? Like if I'm a
I have a question
utilitarian,
for you.
something terrible has
Mhm.
happened.
You're doing the same thing as the pro-life guys, okay? They're
I'm
also doing
actually pro-choice.
there's yeah, and I can imagine, but you're still doing the same thing with animals. You ask a pro-life guy, okay, would you rather kill 5 embryos or one baby?
Mhm.
And they exactly react the way you react. They freak out and they don't, but they know exactly that actually they would always pick the baby over the embryo. And that just shows that our whole value of life, the value of the price tag on the life is way, way higher on the baby than on the embryo. All things equal.
I care about
Like
the
not even equal,
experience.
like
Yeah, I care about the baby
they
can
say
have a bad experience. Embryo, as far as I know, can't.
they don't think that.
Oh well, yeah. If I
They
if I
don't
th- no wait
they
wait if I think
they
that the embryo can have experience just like the baby can, then I'd say they're equal. Just one's bigger. Well, the fuck do I give a shit about the size or the development? I don't care. It's exactly the same then. But I don't think that
why?
because I don't have any reason to. The information that I'm operating under is that it's
The
not until a
reason
certain.
again
It's
just
not
means it
until
doesn't do what you do. It doesn't sit on the computer and plays video games.
no it's not going.
That's the reason
Hang on.
why it's not. Yeah.
No, because it's not going to experience suffering when the
How do
bad
you
thing
know?
happens. This is
How do
so
you know?
I can't know as much as I can't know anything outside of my own experience, but this is my best guess. Just like every single decision that I make in my entire life, I'm taking my best guess with the information that I assume to be correct. And with the information that I assume to be correct would tell me that an embryo isn't going to have that experience, but the baby will. But if we're going to say that the embryo will have the same experience as the baby, they're equally bad. Because that's all I
You
care
don't know the
about.
experience. You can just
Correct.
derive the experience from the same. Like you look at how would I react.
Yeah, I
Like
said
you see.
I said the ability to empathize is important. It's like it's a pretty big factor here.
Yeah,
But
but
part of the thing that
scientifically,
yeah,
scientifically we know that
we
there
don't
is
make most
there is
decisions
no
based on
correlation.
science.
Yeah, but you claim that you need science to prove to you that plants are sentient.
Yeah, because
And I'm telling you,
I don't believe it though. If I believed it, I wouldn't need science to show me it. I'm saying I would need some kind of scientific
it's
proof
really
because I
comfortable.
don't believe it. Right?
You
I don't need science to show me that you are sentient. No science could exist and I would believe this. But if I didn't believe it, it seems like science could make a pretty good case for it for me. Right?
science cannot make a case for you
It could make a pretty good case
for
for
that.
me. For me,
It
it
can
could.
only show you how much. It can only show you how much empirically I am
Yeah,
similar to
it
you.
would tick the
That's
boxes
that's what
for
science can
me.
show you. Science
Sure.
can show you that I have brain. Science can show you that I have a nervous
Mm.
system. Science can show you that like empirical data can only show you how similar I am to you
Okay,
physically.
so let me. Most of the things that we really care about, we don't need science to prove shit to us for. When I'm hungry, science can't explain to me what the experience of hunger is like, but I know what I want to do about it. I know how I value my hunger, and I know how I value relieving it. Science has nothing to do with this. Science can't tell me what it's like to
But
be horny
you
or to have an orgasm. They can tell me the
you
biological
want
process and gives me no information about those experiences, right?
I don't want anything from
But I value
science.
them
I don't want
anyways.
but I don't want anything from science. You want science to prove to you that animals are sentient. And you
No, I
want
don't.
science.
I want
Yeah, you
I
don't, of course, because it would
I
shatter
don't know.
your whole
Wait,
belief
did you
system.
did you mean
But you
plants? You said
that's the
animals. I think you meant
no, I
plants then,
mean
right?
plants.
Oh, okay.
I meant plants. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
No, if they
So
did, I would accept it. But because I have no reason to, I would need some
it
extraordinary proof
can't.
because I
It
don't
can't.
accept
It
it.
can't. It can't show. It can only describe you the way the plant is. And you are putting the assumption there that in order to be sentient or to have consciousness, that that science can show that to you, but it can't. Like it can only show you how similar it is to you. And you have one case of consciousness, which is your own consciousness, and you say, okay, it's really similar to me. Then it must have similar thoughts and feelings. But there is no evidence for that. So what I'm telling you
I'm
is
agreeing.
let's look at it let's look at it metaphysically, let's look at it logically. We,
Yeah, I've never
fuck the
disagreed
science.
with
Like
this.
I'm saying fuck the science. Like
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
saying fuck the
I
science because
I
there
agree
is
that it
no
is.
scientific method to show us consciousness. Consciousness is metaphysics.
Yeah, I've
So
agreed with
the
this the
only
whole
way,
time.
okay, great. Then let's think about it. Like how can something be alive? Like because you agree that a plant is alive, right?
Yeah, but I still think of it as different than when we're talking about other things that are alive. But sure.
Why is it different? Now you're going to say consciousness, right? But you agree that something is alive, and that means because you already yourself are jumping to that conclusion directly, alive means consciousness.
No, an AI can never be alive, but I think it could become sentient and and have a consciousness, like have a conscious experience at some point. But
Come
it would never
again?
be
Say that again.
alive. In
Uh,
artificial intelligence could become self-aware. It could start to have its own thoughts and experiences, separate from us, like artificial general intelligence. It would never be alive, but it would still be a conscious being.
I have no idea.
No, I'm saying this is what I think.
No, and you don't know either. We don't know. Like I don't know.
Correct,
I
but this
just
is
know.
metaphysics. This is metaphysically. I'm saying that I would not say
Yeah,
there's
but
alive is a scientific question, right?
yes.
And by that metric, AI could never be alive. At least as so far as that it's contained within the confines of a computer. It's not alive. It is just a. It's just in a it's just in the shell. It's a simulated thing that has an emergent conscious property. We're saying okay, it's sentient. It's self aware. It's aware of us. It's aware of itself. This is a conscious experience is happening here, and I think that that should be valued and protected like other forms of consciousness. But I would never say that it's alive. Alive requires a biological organic process.
Why?
Why? Well, my understanding of what living means is that.
Okay, maybe we have like metaphysics just means we constructed something above physics. So it's a construct, like the term
Yeah, I
alive
know what
is
metaphysics
like,
are,
yeah, we constructed it over and
but
this connection.
I think alive, something being a living thing, is a scientific question. I think that consciousness is not a scientific question.
Okay,
So, but to determine if something is alive, we would say, okay, is there a biological
so what's
component to
the
this? Okay, cool.
is that
Are there
yeah.
biological processes active and if so, are the active biological processes um, like a forward progressing thing, or is this leading to these processes slowing down, shutting off, or stopped? If they're all stopped, then we'd say it's not alive anymore, but it was.
Mhm.
And if they're happening, we say yes, this is alive. That wouldn't be present in a sentient artificial intelligence, but we could say there's a conscious experience happening. This is the thing that I care about, not the yes or no binary, alive or dead. Like if I thought people had
I think
souls,
there's a
I would
like
feel a
I
lot
would
different about a lot of things.
I would argue that there's a I would argue that there is a less restrictive definition of alive that we would all agree with.
Except for me, I wouldn't agree with it then, probably.
Yeah, I think you would agree as well. Like we would have an understanding of what a robot being alive means. When we say that our phones died, we know what we mean, right?
This is an analogy,
Like there is
though.
no more.
Nobody thinks that.
Yeah,
We say
but
my phone died, but we never say my phone's alive.
yeah,
That's a terrifying statement that would catch everybody off guard. My phone died. Nobody mourns it for you, right?
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God, your phone
yeah.
died. Are you okay? Go ahead and take the rest of the day off of work. No, that's not how we think of it.
So you would really say that alive is not, but it doesn't matter. I think like when you look at it from a just logical perspective, logical point of view, um, that there is no
You're moving away from my AI
there is no way of
representation.
having life. Like that's something we agree. I wanted to talk about life because life is a metaphysical construct that we agree on.
No, no. I
Like we
think
would both say that the plant is
life is a
alive.
scientific question, in my opinion.
Okay, then
It can be scientifically determined. That's how we
okay.
know when somebody's dead. We could know if somebody was dead without ever interacting with them, right? They could be in a sealed
we
room
would have to we would have to draw like we would have to say which part of it like
when the bioelectrical processes in the mind or the heart stops beating. We don't have to even see the person. We could just have sensors hooked up to them and feed us that information. We could tell when they died with a very high degree of certainty. We'd know that they were dead because it's a scientific question whether something's alive or not.
yeah, but what they is a metaphysical question again, because when does they stop, like
Sure.
because then this yeah that's then we are again in
Which is a
in the
different question than
metaphysical
alive or
realm.
dead because they is a metaphysical question, but alive or not is a scientific question. They are two separate things, which is why we sometimes talk about the possibility of a conscious experience after death.
Alive to me is just not reacting anymore, not
Okay.
nothing happening, like the absence of action.
To me,
Like sorry,
life is a
not not
question of the
not
biology.
life. It's the opposite. Like not alive, being dead, like is
Yeah.
the absence of action.
Well, not alive and dead
So
aren't
and
necessarily the same thing. Um, because before I was born, I wasn't alive, but I wasn't dead.
hmm hmm
Dead is what happens when you're not alive after being alive.
yeah, I think it's the same.
Well, I mean, but there's like the way
Yeah.
in which we use the language here, there's a meaningful difference between being not alive and being dead. Because it's like this spectrum, it's like this timeline. It's sort of like a reference to a timeline. Not alive, not alive, not alive, alive, dead,
hmm
and also
Yeah,
not
that's
alive. Yeah.
yeah,
Dead is the state of being not alive after being alive.
yeah.
But you can't be dead before you're born.
But if you say it's a physical thing,
Yeah.
then then dead and not alive is the same thing.
So like if you were able to
You can't say
take your
yeah.
consciousness and put it into a computer, would you say that person's still alive? Or would you say they're dead? You seen their corpse. The thing that we are referencing as
But that's a
they
whole different
isn't in there
question.
anymore.
That's a whole different problem. Like you're opening box after box
What
of
I'm
whole
doing,
different problems.
wait, the
What
reason I'm
we're
doing
trying
this,
to
well, yeah, I have a reason. I have a reason. The reason is because the thing that I care about is that thing that's not in their body anymore and it is now in the computer. I care about that thing, that conscious experience, that sentience that the
I feel
computer
like that's
without a body has and is not alive, and that plant that is alive that I don't think has it. So I'm trying to express to you that I can show you a scenario where being alive doesn't assume a conscious experience, and never being alive and not having a
wait.
living body can produce it. That's
I'm
why
not
that's
sure I
where I'm going
agree.
with
I
this.
don't think I agree because yeah, I think we went too far away because now we've opened like 3 or 4 other different questions. What it means to be alive, like that's
Yeah,
like
I guess
because
these are things that seem like they have to be resolved because you're caught on the plant thing, and we have a fundamental disagreement
yeah,
about the nature of plants and the value of that nature of
just
them.
just to be clear, you are saying my empirical evidence is not suggesting to me that plants are sentient. My empirical evidence is suggesting to me that animals are sentient, and my empirical
I'll
evidence
even take
is
it a step down. I'll say my
suggesting to me,
feeling. At the end of the day, really, it's just how I feel about it, right? These are my feelings.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I don't feel like plants are alive, or sorry, I don't feel like plants are sentient. I don't feel like plants have a consciousness. So I'm even granting you a flimsier ground for
Yeah.
myself because I'll acknowledge that it is, but I'll also probably attack
So
some
you
of
would
your
have no
positions
moral
in the same way.
so you would have no moral problem with me eating animals then.
No, I have a feeling that animals do have that thing that I care about, which is why I don't eat them.
Yeah, so
You can't doubt that I believe that because I don't eat them, even though I really like the taste. I ate them for a long time.
yeah, but yeah, I have to think about this
Okay.
another time.
Do you wanna try to set up something with modern day debate and we can debate on there?
We should. Yeah, yeah, we should.
All
We
right, I'm in
should.
the
We
Discord
should do
now.
it.
This is good too. My friend is about to come over. I told him at 3. I didn't think we'd go
Hmm.
for this long, so I was like, "Yeah, they can come over at
We
3.
went
That's
pretty
fine."
long.
Yeah. By the way,
Yeah, we went pretty long.
I enjoyed talking to you. I think you're a pretty cool guy. I'm gonna
Same,
shoot you
man.
an invite to my Discord if you want. I'm gonna shoot it
Yeah,
to you
definitely.
unless you tell me no, basically. But it was really nice to talk to you.
Same, man.
Um, I think that if you put some effort into it, I think that you'll do good things in the space. I like the way that you approach things. The only thing that I didn't like here is how quickly you ran away from my sentient AI example. Um,
We will come back to it.
but
I
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
this is yeah, yeah, yeah. We will definitely I
That
promise you we'll come
it's
back
a
to it.
it's a personal criticism and not like a broad one that I'm putting on you.
No, I
That's my own
agree.
little
I
mini
agree.
grudge about this conversation. That's it. That's
No,
it.
I agree that there was a point where I didn't want to go. That's true. That's true. I agree.
But yeah, that was one of the most enjoyable debates I've had about veganism. We went to interesting
Cool, man.
places, and I didn't even get to touch
Yeah.
on why it's bad for people. But
Yeah, yeah, we don't care about that. I don't think we care about it.
well, because you care about people, so I'd say you shouldn't do it if you care about people too.
Yeah, but I like most of the time like of my life I've smoked and drank and didn't give a fuck about my health.
No, no,
So
not about you. I mean
yeah.
about
Ah, okay.
humanity. Slaughterhouse workers,
Okay, okay.
particularly, is where I'm gonna go with that in the future.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's fucked. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah, I
bad.
know. But like t-shirts,
No, 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 no,
computers,
no, no,
like
no, no, no.
cobalt mines.
It's so much worse than
Come
all
on,
that.
man.
It
You
is.
can't
It
say
is.
it's worse than cobalt mines.
All right. Before I go, let me put it
Lithium
this way.
batteries.
It Those things cause physical harm. That's pretty bad. Only police that see a high amount of action and soldiers that see a lot of combat and slaughterhouse workers get a particular form of PTSD. It's like pits. They get DID. They get dissociative identity disorder to where their brain like essentially assigns them a new personality to deal with the horrors of their job. Um,
I wanna.
it's
I mean,
fucking
it
insane.
could be.
There's a guy at
Could
Tyson
be.
whose job is to read and help people fill out forms because they people don't want to work there so bad that there's enough illiterate people to sign up for that job that they have to have somebody whose job it is just to read them their information and help them get through the forms.
There, I
It's
absolutely agree.
tragic.
Like, no, I agree, 100%. On that front, you can't debate me because I will always agree to
Oh,
everything you're saying. Definitely.
good. Well, maybe next time you go to get a cheeseburger, think about that person who's about to murder their girlfriend because of the psychological trauma they've
Because of my
endured.
cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, all right,
I
buddy.
will. I
It
will.
was super nice to meet you. How do I pronounce your name? I was about to say, what do I call you? But I have your screen name. But how do I pronounce it?
You can just BoredKanack.
Kanek. Okay.
Yeah. You can just say bored. You can just say Kanek. You can say whatever you want.
All right. I'll probably go with Kanek. It was really nice to meet you, man. I'll shoot you a link to my Discord.
Same, bro.
I hope to hear from you soon.
Yeah. Same, man. Definitely. Let's do it. Let's set something up on modern day debates. And I'll be
100%.
prepared.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sounds great. Take care, bro.
Take care. Hey guys, I put his YouTube and Twitter in my video or my stream description. So if I think he's a pretty interesting guy, honestly. I think he had more meaningful things to say than most people that I talk to. Maybe that's just because he's fresh and not worn down by the space or what. I don't know, but like he's a pretty interesting guy. You should check him out. He should be coming into the Discord. I'm gonna shoot him a link, so I assume he will be. But I'm gonna get out of here. I have company coming over. I'm gonna do my best to stream again later tonight. Oh, what'd you say? I don't experience suffering even though they look like you. Death is something that happens every life. This is crazy. It did get a little bit outside of the realm that I like to go down, but I know that sometimes debates are gonna end up going down like this axiomatic logic tree, insect interaction. Some compounds can interact with beneficial insects. The prey of pests harming the plants. Oh. Oh, yeah, I see. Sorry, Alk, I was too engrossed. I didn't even see some of this chat. Uh. Oh, correct. Yeah, yeah. I know that some people make those arguments about the plant communication. I try to meet people. I would say that I have some sort of responsibility to try to meet people where they're at when I'm talking about things that are unprovable. So I try to use their frame to discredit their argument and use my frame to impose my argument. So that's why I took the route that I did because I care about the other person accepting where I'm at, and that's pretty much the only way I know to effectively do that. All right, I gotta go. My friend's gonna be here like pretty shortly.